You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Get those nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What? Are you kidding? We got us a family here.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Lisa, Brian, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast. Joining us is Brian Young, the Turtle Dork.
Yeah, hello, everybody.
Yep. And also joining us is Lisa Gullickson, wife dork.
Hello.
And also joining us is Brad Gullickson, con Brad.
Hello.
Yep. And I'm your host, Darren Smith, the Disco Dork. And welcome to the It Modcast podcast reviewcast for San Diego Comic-Con 2018.
We're back on the East Coast in the Dork Cave.
For a second.
For a second.
It is great to have everyone back.
Dude, it's great to have you back, sir.
Yeah, so before we get started, I just wanted to, for the listeners, I want to address the elephant in the room.
Or the elephant that was not at Comic-Con this year.
The elephant that was not in the room, right. And so, if you were being a good dork and you were following ItMod last week, then you would be barraged with all manner of pictures from San Diego on the West Coast and pictures of wife dork, turtle dork, and mouth dork, but no disco. And you may have been like, what the hell? Didn't we just hear like a preview cast and discos, blah, 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 and where's Sia? So I just want to put this out there, all right? So I was not in attendance at San Diego Comic-Con this year because of an unexpected medical emergency. And when Brad and Lisa and Brian left, and they had, they were the first ones that told. So they were aware of why I wasn't able to come. And the first thing Brad goes was, well, so what do you want me to tell people if they ask me, why you aren't here? And at that time, I was still in the throes of the, medical situation. And he says, do you want me to just tell them it was something with your job or, the federal government or whatever? And I was
I'm great at hating on the government.
Right. and so I said, yeah, that's fine. But I want to talk about why I was there, not specifically the reason why I was there, but I want to talk about what happened because of that. So the reason why I didn't go is because I have mental health issues that I live with, right, and that I struggle with sometimes. And I've been diagnosed with clinical depression, PTSD. I have anxiety and panic attacks. And when I'm in the throes, and then a lot of times I can feel self-conscious, I feel guilty, I feel bad about it. But the reason why I want to talk about it briefly, real quick, is just because if there are any other people out there, which there are millions of people out there afflicted with this. And I just want the people who are, and even the people who aren't, I just want to let you all know that the best thing that has ever happened to me because of this podcast happened when I told the rest of the dorks that I wasn't able to go and I had to stay behind because of what was going on. And I'm only telling the story because I just want to talk about the importance of support for people who have mental health issues, to know that someone cares for you and to know that someone genuinely is concerned about your well-being and that someone sees you. Because a lot of the times, because of the symptoms of depression, you retreat back into yourself. So reaching out and calling for help or calling a hotline or, just saying, hey, I'm in trouble, a lot of the times that isn't an option because of the severity of the depression. This is how depression works. It makes you retreat from the people you know, the people you love, the things you love. So when you have people around you who pay attention to you and know your behavior and know when something's wrong or are sympathetic when they do hear your plight or when they do come upon you and you're having problems, like how uplifting that can be. And I know my fellow dorks, you all felt really bad because I couldn't go. And I told you, the best thing that you can do for me at this point is go and have fun. If you don't do that, because I already felt bad. Like I said, it makes you feel guilty. It makes you feel like you're the problem. You're a burden. So I said the best things you could do is just have fun, and that would make me happy. It would take the stress off of me. I won't, because I'll fall into a depression if I just knew that you all were out there worrying about me.
Yeah.
And talking to Brian would call me and check up on me, and I would talk to you guys, and you all would continuously tell me, Brad and Lisa, just take care of yourself. We hope you're okay. And and then to see like you all posting, and you all took care of me as far as my purchase that I wanted to go get. So I just wanted to say, firstly, thank you so much. Because it genuinely got me through not being there with you all. And again, the reason why I'm putting this out there is if you know someone who suffers from depression, PTSD, anxiety, any type of mental illness, even when they seem like they're okay, just check on them. Just let them know that you're present. Don't have to ask them to tell you what's wrong or whatever. But just knowing that you're there will do more than you could ever imagine for that person. Just knowing that they're not alone, because you feel so alone. You feel isolated. You're the only person in the world that is going through this, and you're the only person in the world that's being a burden and causing everyone else to have to deal with your issues. So you feel like you're so alone. But when you have friends that care about you and make you feel visible and let you know that I see you and I care for you, and if you need me, I'll be there. That's the best thing in the world. That's the best thing in the world. And so because you all did that for me, as I've always been, I'm eternally grateful. And I genuinely thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like
Dude, we love you.
Anytime.
And though we love you most, everybody in the Khan family was asking about you, and we lied to all of them.
Yeah,
we lied to all of them.
Yeah, we did. And I had
just like you wanted.
I had to do that Friday night. So if they are listening,
know that they only did that at my instructions.
Exactly.
And it was because at that point, like I said, I was feeling bad and guilty, but I do want to put the truth out there just so I can highlight the support that I had, because had I not had that, I promise you my situation would have deteriorated and gotten worse if I didn't have the support that I had. So more than anything else, that's the most important takeaway for me, is you guys literally helped me and saved me. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, we were here, like you said, just to protect you, make sure that you were okay. And we did have to lie, but again, that was at
Brian
your...
is horrible at it, but
No,
nobody noticed.
I was actually pretty good.
Brian did good.
I was good. But if they're listening, I do want to apologize for lying, but that was...
Here's the deal. Brian does not like lying.
Yeah.
He felt real bad about it. We talked about it a little bit. But no, Brian did good.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're the kind of people who would have judged you either way.
No,
but
they
it's your
would.
business.
They totally
But
understand.
I think you don't want them to worry
But here's the thing.
as well.
We follow Disco's instructions, right?
Exactly.
So we did that, and he told us to have fun,
and
we
did.
had fun.
We did.
And
We
we
really
did.
did.
And everybody was able to have fun.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the Khan family who were concerned about me. Again, it is not their fault. They were instructed, and that was because of me and how my insecurities with it. But again, I was thinking about it like 2 days ago because I was looking forward to recording this. And
It seems like it's been forever.
it has been. It seemed like it. But I just figured, like, you know what? Like, that doesn't, my situation is cleared up now, but that does nothing for anyone else who may be going through what I'm going through. And I just want, our listeners to know, like, because the geek community, we're such a strong community. We're strong people, and we care, and we're open. And so just that passion, like, just make sure every once in a while, because life can get distracting with all of our passions and all our geek things that we love, but just make sure you're paying attention to your fellow geeks to their left and to your right, because they could be going through something, and you may never know. And your hey, are you okay? Or hey, I'm here for you if you need me. That could make all the difference in the world. So thank you.
Well, I guess I was going to save this for the end of the podcast, but I also want to thank everybody, because I talked to you about this the last couple of days, but I want to say thank you to you guys, because every year it's always difficult for me, because I do go through a lot of personal things as well, and I treat San Diego almost like a distraction. And because of the situations of it being a weird con with Darren not being there, and the situation with John Schnepp, and just some other personal things I've been going through as well, I wanted to really just kind of seize the moment and really have fun. And I was able to do that, and I really enjoyed the time I was able to spend with you guys. It was really, really nice to have that. And I just wanted to say thank you for that and how much that kind of really kind of.
We love you too.
I love you guys.
We enjoyed your company.
Yeah, I was going to text you guys like after I left, but then it was too many days passed. I said I'll save it for the podcast.
You can always text us. I like being told that somebody loves me and appreciates our time.
We gotta love each other as openly as we love the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Like we're going to talk about this in the podcast. And, we had like a strategy and like a plan and like, this is what I wanted to talk about. And this is the order I wanted to talk about it. But Comic-Con is such a magical and loving place. Yeah. And for all the conversation that's around toxic fandom and, all the shit that's going with Last Jedi, like, I just got to mute that on my Twitter. I can't talk about Star Wars anymore, people.
I know.
I loved it. Sorry you didn't. Stop adding me.
Yeah.
But for all of that, like when you go and you meet people face to face, like when you sit with your community in a building of 150,000 people, it's all love.
It is.
I mean, I've never had a truly negative exchange with a human being at Comic-Con. And maybe I'm lucky, but I don't think so. I think for the most part, we go to that convention center, the Gaslamp District, and we exchange in each other's passion. And that's truly the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah.
It's not the Aquaman trailer.
Exactly. And we talked all about that. I mean, we'll get into it.
And we talk about that every year. I think what I just said is a repeat of what I said last year.
But it needs to be said, though. It needs to be reiterated.
Especially now, given our fears and our political climate and our social climate.
It's really about what you make out of Comic-Con, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and every podcast post Comic-Con is about, well, what trailer dropped? Let's talk about the trailer. And a lot of people are like, you know what? I don't care about going to Comic-Con because I know they're just going to drop that stuff online. But again, it's not about that. You're not in the room when you see Jamie Lee Curtis embrace that fan. You're not in the room when you guys see the stuff that happens at the Steven Universe panel. Like, those are the moments that you remember. It's the dinners that we have with the people that we've met over the last 2 or 3 years. That's Comic-Con. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about seeing the Aquaman trailer for the first time. Granted, I enjoy it. It's fun being for second row.
And it's great having the conversations with the people in Hall H.
Or the family that we talked to in line on Friday behind us. And then they were behind us when we were in Hall H. You know, just those interactions, those exchanges are the things I look forward to when I go out there every year.
One of the things we talked about a lot was Comic-Con being a safe space.
Yeah.
A safe space to have enthusiasm for nerd things. Everybody is connecting with each other and lifting each other up for whatever their nerdy thing is. Yeah. And it was funny when on Sunday, and we had just finished and we had this beautiful dinner and we were back in the
oh yes.
In the elevator.
In the elevator at you guys'
and
hotel.
We just felt that safe space bubble burst.
It was ripped. It was so funny. You know, we just had this like epic dinner with our con fam, and you know, we were going to do an exchange because Brian didn't want to bring back his Ninja Turtles NECA figures. In his luggage, and we were going to ship our toys anyway. So he said, Brian, just give us the NECA figures and we'll ship them. But first we got to go back to my hotel room because that's where the car keys are, and then we can drive over to your hotel. Yeah. So we go into the elevator, and you know, we've got our Mondos in our tube and our backpacks, nerd shirts. We're still wearing our Comic-Con badges because we refuse to let the day end. And we step into the elevator, and there's a couple there, and they just look at us like we are the biggest freaks, and they go, "Are you guys you just coming back from Comic-Con?"
And then the other person's like, "Yeah, look at them."
They go like, "What do you even do there?" And we're like trying to, like, there's panels and stuff, and then Brian and Brad are both wearing poster tubes, and one of the dudes goes, "What's in there?" lightsabers.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, back to reality.
Crushing.
so
Crushing.
funny.
So funny,
so
though.
funny.
But that just highlights what a beautiful place
It is.
Comic-Con
It
is.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so since obviously I wasn't there, I need all the details. I've spoken to Brian since he's returned, and he's told me a little bit about what's happened. But I've purposely held off on reading and looking and listening and asking Brad and Lisa for experiences because I genuinely wanted to save it for the podcast so you all can fill me in on what I missed.
Well, I mean, as Brian called it, Weird Con. It was weird. You not being there, we had a great time, Darren. Don't worry.
But it was weird.
But it was
like you're part of the mechanism of our machine that drives Comic-Con.
Yeah, and if you listen to our review cast of Sorry to Bother You, which was the last episode that we recorded, we started that episode off talking about John Schnepp, who at the time, we didn't know it. He had suffered a stroke and was in the hospital. And his fiancee Holly was asking for support for her medical bills with their GoFundMe campaign. And unfortunately, on Friday, we learned that John Schnepp had passed away, that he had died due to complications of that stroke. And that also added a very strange vibe to my con experience.
Absolutely.
Again, please go back and listen to that episode where we talk about Schnepp and how Schnepp affected our lives. But I know for Brian and I, for 4 years there, through AMC Movie Talk and Collider Heroes and Collider Movie Talk, we listened to Schnepp every day.
Yep.
And when you listen to somebody every day, it's like he's another member of the Dork Cave, right?
Yeah.
And also, Schnepp was such a major creative influence. He directed episodes of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Metalocalypse,
Black Panther animated series on BET.
Yeah, the Reginald Hudlin adaptation. Death of Superman Lives, What Happened.
Yeah.
He directed that short within ABCs of Death.
Yeah.
W is for What the Fuck, which is one of my favorite segments of the ABCs of Death. So just an incredibly vibrant and creative person and a prolific person that we lost too soon.
Way too soon, and you could definitely feel it throughout the con, especially when the news dropped. We all of us were in Hall H that Friday when I saw the news on Twitter, and it was
Brian told me.
Yeah, it was just devastating, and for
the
that
two of
to
us
happen,
cried.
Yeah,
immediately
just cried in that moment, and it was just devastating, and you can feel it. You can feel the ripple effects throughout the con, and he was sorely missed. It was I used to see Schnepp walk the floor on Sundays. So like Sundays when I'm walking the floor and like I'll just randomly just see Schnepp just walking around because he said like, that would be my time. And I was like, I found myself like missing that on Sunday. Like, you know what? Like you're not going to see him here. You're not going to see him walking the floor.
And like how weird, and I don't know, I think it was like Amy Rose Eisenbach said, it was kind of beautiful that he would pass during Comic-Con.
Yeah, it is.
Because it is his place.
Yeah.
And, he's not, I don't know, he's not some major celebrity. He's not freaking Tom Cruise or whoever.
But to us,
but he is to us, and to certain people he is.
Yeah.
On Thursday night, we attended because Lisa reminded, like, we were about to miss it. And Lisa reminded us to attend the Film Threat Chris Gore panel on independent films.
Yeah.
And that was before he had passed away. And Chris Gore, before he started the panel, wanted to talk about John Schnepp. And he asked the crowd, like, do you guys know who Schnepp is? And, several of us raised our hands. And you could see that, it was certainly affecting his experience. And how could it not, as a friend of Schnepp's?
Exactly. And then Kevin Smith at his panel Saturday night did a tribute mentioning Schnepp as well.
Yeah. And then Friday afternoon, after we learned of his passing, during the trailer park at Hall H, they kicked off the trailers with a trailer for The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened.
Yeah, yeah.
So his loss, the loss of Schnepp, certainly colored the entire weekend for me.
Absolutely.
And yes, it's certainly sad, but it was also really amazing to see not just the celebrities and his friends tweet about him online and talk about him on social media, but just like the swath of people that were expressing their gratitude for having known him or having experienced his art was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Disco doesn't show up. We have the passing of a favorite here at the podcast. So we were, this year, like you all said, sets an odd tone for the con. But in spite of that, you came away having a full experience. Well, I want to start with actually when you all first touched down, because traditionally, Brad and Lisa, for you those who don't know, if you're new to the podcast, you haven't listened to our previous year's review cast, go back and do it. But
I did.
They're the two dorks that touch down first, Mouth Dork and Wife Dork, and then what they usually do is they go over, what's the name of that hotel?
Hotel Del at Coronado Island.
Yeah, and you usually have like your very expensive buffet breakfast, but even that was done a little differently.
We didn't do
year,
it,
right?
We didn't do it before the con. We did go back and do it after the con.
But your first day there, was it? So walk me through that Wednesday. Was that Tuesday?
We landed Tuesday, and we took like the earliest possible flight. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It drives me crazy because Brad's attitude is, the earlier we get there, like we have a whole day in California. But I'm fucking tired, and he's just dragging my fucking exhausted corpse all over San Diego.
We flew out of BWI, so our flight was at 5:59 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
So you had to leave here
3 o'clock.
3:30 in the morning is when we left here.
Yikes.
So we
Not
were pretty
forgiven.
tired, and we landed in San Diego like at 9 in the morning. But that meant we could go straight to Marvelous Muffins,
Which we did. So delicious.
Point Loma.
Yeah.
If you're in San Diego, you better go to Marvelous Muffins and get the cranberry walnut muffin.
The muffin tops on this muffin are scandalously huge and crispy and delicious.
But here's the thing. So we had a couple muffins. We had our coffee. It's now like 10:30 in the morning. We can't check into our hotel till 3 o'clock. And we are so tired. We're like, let's go do something. And we just drive for the entire day. Because neither of us wanted to actually get out and do it. So we drove around the gas lamp. We looked at people setting up exhibits, and they had the Leica exhibit open, and the line was super short, Brian, on Tuesday. Yes, it was. And I said to Lisa, "Let's go! Look at how short that line is." And Lisa said, "No, we have to wait for Brian."
Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa.
It's okay. Guess what? Never doing it again.
And please don't.
Spoiler alert: we do not make it to the Leica booth.
So we just drive around San Diego until it's time to check in, and then we go and have dinner at Rubio's, get our fish tacos on, and that was our Tuesday.
And then we went to sleep.
Yeah, but Wednesday, which is technically the first day of the con, that's preview night.
Yeah.
No one had preview, right? Okay.
And Brian landed at 10 o'clock. So that morning we were like, well, we're not going to do the buffet because it's so crazy expensive, and who wants to eat all that food?
And I don't want to be all bloated because I'm cosplaying the next day.
Right.
Experimenting with wearing leggings as pants.
But let's go put our feet in the ocean. So we brought our bathing suits. But that day,
so cold.
So cold. The rest of the week, heat wave. Yeah. But that day, freezing.
Yeah, it was so cold, and I was dying.
And Lisa's a lizard.
Yeah.
So
I need to lay it on a hot rock.
We had like a minute and 30 seconds that we took a video of us, and that's the entire amount of time we were out in Coronado.
Wow. Yeah. That was just
But then we picked up Brian, and we were like, let's go to Leica.
Yeah, well, we hit in and out, but my trip getting there was a story in and of itself that morning because I got up early. I'm so notorious for forgetting something, and I'm like, okay, I'm traveling by myself. Make sure I got everything. So I had everything. I brought all my stuff. So I park in the long-term parking at BWI, and I see the shuttle coming, so I'm like, oh shit, the shuttle's coming. Okay, so I grab my suitcase, and I'm like, bet, all right, I'm good to go. So on the shuttle's making its way to the terminal, Southwest Terminal, and on the way there, I'm like, fuck, I left my damn poster tube.
No.
And my poster tube had 2 prints in there because I wanted to get those signed by 2 of the Rangers that were going to be there. And I was thinking to myself, it was like, okay, so I forget what time my flight was leaving, but I had like an hour and a half. So I said, okay, let me get off at Southwest. Let me check my luggage, then get back on the shuttle and go back to long-term parking, see if I can grab it. So I get back.
So you forgot it in the car, but not at home.
In the car.
Okay.
In the car. So I'm like, all right, I got like an hour and a half. I think I can make it. And so I check my bags. My bags are checked, so my bags are good to go. And I'm like, I get back on there, and then the driver tells me, he was like, did you forget something? I was like, yeah, I left something in my car. He was like, okay, what stop are you at? I was like, I'm at stop 8. And he was like, okay, so when I get there, I'll let you off at stop 6, and then I'll swing back around and just meet me back at stop 8. I was like, all right.
So
I was like, thank you. So he lets me off at 6. I run, and my car was like not that far, so I run there. I get my postal tube, meet back up over there, get back. And so got through TSA, got my breakfast. By the time I walked to the gate, they were starting to let people onto the plane. So I made it
Oh
right
my God.
on
I
time.
would
And knowing
die.
Brian, I know you were losing your shit. You were super stressed out.
Well, it was mainly getting through TSA, but TSA got through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But then, like, when I went to McDonald's to get breakfast, the line was like super long. I was looking at the time because I had to eat, because I knew if I didn't eat, by the time I got to San Diego, I was gonna be starving.
Right.
So I was like, all right. So I got my breakfast.
We're different people. I would have just been like, I'm going to starve.
But it was cool. As long as I got through TSA, I knew I can get to the gate. I knew what time
The
it was.
one good thing about going at like 6 in the morning is the TSA, they bring the dogs out.
Yes,
So
yes.
that you just go through the dog, and then you don't have to do all the extra. You don't have to take your shoes off and shit.
Exactly.
You're welcome,
exactly.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Never again.
That's the one thing I love about BWI compared to like San Diego's TSA and going through like
Here's the difference, though. When you go through the security of BWI, they have a hunk of the Pentagon from 9/11 right there by the security. So, like, the entire time I'm going through security, I'm looking at why we're in security at this Pentagon hunk of metal.
I never noticed
It's
that.
off in the corner. They have a little, like,
It's a weird
little
memorial
shrine.
thing, which
Interesting.
makes sense, I guess.
It does a
It's
little bit.
to shut people up who complain
Yeah,
about TSA.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
they're right, because I was not going to say shit to these guys.
Yeah. So all that, I had my poster tube with my prints in there. I got on the plane. Everything was good to go. Got there, met up with you guys, and we went to In-N-Out, our normal tradition.
I got a salad.
Did they come get you immediately when they?
They were there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Here's the
That
thing,
must have
you
been
know,
nice.
this is going to be such a long Comic-Con cast. Listeners, just sit down. You've already seen the runtime. I'm guessing the runtime's 4 hours. I've decided In-N-Out Burger. I like the burger.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I think it's delicious.
Yeah.
Not as good as Five Guys. And here's the other thing. French fries, they're garbage.
Yeah, they are.
In-N-Out Burger French fries are garbage. They are tasteless, thin straws.
I don't like those shoes. I don't like shoestring fries.
Can I say I've been in agreement with you for years, and I just don't want to say anything because you're always so happy to go in and out.
Because it's the whole thing. When in Rome, it's like in and
I get
out.
it, 'cause
I
it's
want to
not
go to.
real.
And
I want to
here's
go
the
to In
deal.
and Out.
The next time I go to In-N-Out, the next time I go to Comic-Con, I'm going to
Go to
In-N-Out.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the double is good.
It's good.
It's not as good as a Five Guys burger.
But we can get a Five Guys burger anytime.
That's true.
Exactly.
I've never had a
But
Five
maybe
Guys
we should
burger.
go to Carl's Jr. next time, guys.
Or Jack in the Box.
Or Jack
I
in
haven't
the
been
Box.
to Jack in the Box yet.
They had some kind of really bad, like, food
E. coli
poisoning scare
That
in
was
the
like 20
80s.
years ago, Lisa. Don't worry about it.
But also that day, just to kind of fast forward a little bit, the whole fiasco with trying to get our bags.
Oh, yeah.
Your
God.
your luggage bags or
No,
your Comic-Con
our
bags?
badges.
Comic-Con.
Our badges. This year, they changed up several things about the con. One, they closed down Harbor Drive that day after 3 o'clock. So that entire street that's in front of the convention center, sorry, San Diego, you can't use it. And that's a major thoroughfare for San Diego.
Yeah.
And you know, when they shut that down, like you would look at the traffic that was being rerouted. You were just like, "Ugh, sucks to be you guys," because there was a little bit of a nightmare. And you could not approach the building unless you had proof of purchase.
The convention center.
You couldn't approach the convention center unless you had proof of purchase or your badge.
Right.
And normally on Wednesday by noon, you can just walk in and get your badge.
Well, we had our badges.
Well, we had our badges because they mailed them to us.
Yeah.
We needed our lanyards and our bags.
And our bags, yeah.
And normally you could just
up
walk
in the sales pavilion.
Yeah, up in the sales pavilion,
Right.
go and get your stuff and then leave. Well, they wouldn't let us in.
But you had your
We had our badge, and they're like, "No, sorry, this is only preview night.
Preview night only.
So we're only letting preview night people in." Oh, okay, but your website says we could come in and collect our lanyards. No, sorry. Okay, well, let's go down to the next door. Nope, sorry. Nope. And then we eventually walked away. And we're like, I guess we're going to have to get all that stuff in the morning.
Tomorrow?
I know. Which would have been...
Or not have a lanyard, which is impossible because they're all RFID chipped. So, and you have to wear it in a way that they can see. What are you going to do, pin it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that was frustrating. And then we're like, okay, well, let's go to Leica. Let's get in line. Well, by the time we get to Leica, the line is capped. Yeah. And this is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. On Wednesday. Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, that stinks. I guess we'll have to get it on Thursday or some other time.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We don't get into any offsites. Here's a spoiler for Comic-Con review.
And we were all like, hey, there's not that much going on Saturday Hall 8, so we're going to have all this time to do offsites.
Right. Yeah. So, we tried to go to Taco Bell. Yeah, tried to go to Jack Ryan. This year, because it was a little easier to get into the Hall H line, it meant other people who would normally be hanging out waiting to see Marvel on Saturday
are on the loose.
Yeah.
And so all of the offsite lines were nuts.
Yeah, Jack Ryan, DC Universe. I think those were 2 big ones.
Those are the ones I wanted to check out. That South Park zombie Walking Dead thing. But Taco Bell is what I was dying for.
Yeah, that's the one.
The Taco Bell line was madness.
Yeah, you would have to get in line at 3 o'clock, and it didn't open until 6.
Yeah.
You would have to burn half a con day.
Yeah.
I know.
So that was
like that for the duration of the
whole and also because for the same reasoning, the exclusive lines were always extremely long.
Oh shit!
The ones that we had access to.
Yeah. So we talked about it on the preview cast, but they Funko, Hasbro, Mattel. Those are the big ones. Lego. Yeah. They all had online portals, so you had to enter into a lottery to get into those. So anytime you passed one of their booths, there was no line, but they wouldn't let you in because you didn't have a voucher.
Damn.
So the people who would be waiting in those lines who were rejected for that, or the people who would be in Hall H but who were no longer interested because there was no Marvel or HBO, they all went to all the other exclusive lines. So the Mondo posters line, entire weekend, at least 500 people in line around the clock.
You know how they have those little wells along the walls?
Yeah, right. Line break, a line break, and then it would be along the wall. The well, as Lisa's saying.
The wall, and then there would just be a cube of people just filling up that little block
of Mondo people.
Just Mondo people.
Shit. So you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm not getting,
That's the first time they've done that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always been cray cray, but that was nuts.
Yeah, and to be so consistent. Now, jumping ahead to Sunday, an hour before or 2 hours before the exhibit hall was to close, the line for Mondo shrank down to about 15 people.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and that's when we were able to get
and then
those.
Brian and I swung in, and that's how I got the Beneath the Planet of the Apes poster over there.
Okay, that's it right there.
Because that never sold out. And Brian, what did you get?
I got the Last Jedi.
You got the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But the Avengers print and the Man Who Fell to Earth, the David Bowie one, there was no way.
Yeah, but the great thing about the Avengers Infinity War is that they also released it online. So I purchased mine online. That same
not the
day.
Variant, though.
Not the variant, but I'm not worried about
Variant's
that.
not as good.
Yeah. So I'll get that in about 3 months.
So that was an interesting dynamic. It just meant you went and did other things.
Right.
True.
And we did.
Yeah.
And for that complaining, that frustration, and the weirdness, this was a really wonderful con.
We had so much fun.
Yeah. So Wednesday, we were shut out,
and we did our Target trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got
Wednesday,
our supplies.
we Target trip and had dinner with you guys at the Crust Kitchen where where my hotel was, and that was great. Then I guess Thursday.
So how did Thursday start off?
You go, Brian.
Thursday.
How did you start it off?
Yeah. Well, for me, Thursday, I kind of did what you were saying. Just kind of sleep in a little bit and then just go straight into the con. So I took my time, got ready, took the shuttle to the con. I wanted to see if I could possibly get into Predator. But then I kind of realized when I looked at the line, I was like, I'm just going to skip Predator. So I really just kind of hit the floor in the beginning. And I had some issues with Acme. Now, I know we'll probably talk about some of the booths like Mondo and Acme Archives because I normally go there to get the Power Ranger prints. Right. So they have this by Carlos Dottoli. So they have a green and red Ranger. So I had something planned out because the actors who played them, I wanted to get their autographs, and they were only there for a certain time slot. So I was like, all right, if I get these prints, then I'll be able to get them signed, by such and such day or time. So I get the Acme, and I'm like, do you have the red and green Ranger prints? And they're like, no, they haven't come in yet. And it was like, check back a little bit later today. We have somebody from the warehouse going to get them, and they're going to be bringing them here. I was like, okay. I was like, y'all messing up my timetable here. So like, I meet up with you guys and for the Leonard Maltin panel, and I did that and the Turtles, the new Rise of the TMNT. And
you also went to NECA.
And yes, I did go to NECA. So Thursday, I went to NECA. I got my Turtle exclusives. Thanks. I found Karen Ashley at the Power Morphicon booth, and I took a pic. Got her to sign the print that I brought from home that I almost left. And when I went there, I met a cosplay, and this was one that has still stayed with me. Is the guy that was cosplaying as John Coffey. Oh man! And sitting there and talking to him and striking up a conversation, and to be honest, striking up a friendship with him as well, was probably, again, one of the things I'm going to take away with me for this whole con. Talking to him about why he cosplays as John Coffey, it being the silent protest. And then him telling me about the film, we're talking about Green Mile and how John Coffey is an allegory for Jesus Christ. And because I haven't seen that movie in so long, I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And he was just talking to it was so cool just to have that rapport with him back and forth. Like, he literally was a real life John Coffey. It was so cool. So so I did that, and then just met up with you guys.
I have to say, when I saw the picture that you posted of Brian and he scored that turtle, that was like my first. Happy. That was my first moment of like true con joy. Like, I literally was like, yeah, like I yelled out, like, yes. When I saw that, like, I was genuinely happy for B.
Yeah. Brian and I had like a same strategy. On Thursday, we wanted to go to the Rick Baker panel at 10 o'clock, but the exhibit hall opened at 9:30. We were like, the DC Collectibles Rick Baker panel, that's probably not going to be too hard to get in. So let's like do a race to get exclusives immediately. So Lisa and I split off. Okay. I went to the NECA booth.
And I went to Gentle Giant. So I got that Saru bust like right away. So my number one item, I got right away.
And you had a bit of a wait.
I did. I had quite a line, but I took tons of pics of all of the cute. They have like a collection of Scotty Young, which they've had there a couple of years. But Scotty Young Marvel figures, which I covet them all, particularly the Spider-Man and Mary Jane. I think is so cute. So I got to take a picture of that stuff and wait around.
And while she was in that line, I went to NECA. I did not run into Brian, but I'm looking at the exclusives, and I don't want to like spend too much money this year, and I also don't want to spend too much money too soon because that's what we did last year. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to get the Turtles, but I'll get the Guillermo del Toro action figure, and I'll get the Shane Black as Poncho from Predator action figure. Yeah. So I bought those. Okay.
It's both so great.
Yeah.
So great. I love the Guillermo del Toro one. I'm going to smooch it every day.
But here's the thing. I should have gotten that Turtles damn thing because that thing sold out so quickly. Yeah. And I was never able to get it again because they were selling some every day. But by the time I got to NECA every day, they'd be like, sorry, we're sold out for the day. Come back tomorrow. And then by Sunday, they were sold out. Like they never sold a single one on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why when I saw it Thursday, when I went past the booth and I saw the line, they were taking cash only. I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead. Because I didn't want to carry it throughout the whole day. But I said, man, screw it. Let me just go ahead and get this now. Because if I don't, I procrastinate. And it's like, and if it gets sold out, I was like, I'm going to be pissed. So I was like, you know what? screw it, I'm getting it now.
Yeah, Darren, you're right. That photo is like the best.
Pure
photo.
joy.
Yeah, I was so happy.
So yeah,
I took that photo.
Yeah.
Lisa and I went and saw the DC Collectibles panel, which has to be one of the nerdiest panels at the Comic-Con,
Yeah.
and that's saying something.
It's just shopping sitting down.
Yeah, it's just like, here's all the toys that are coming out in the future from DC.
Oh, I want that one.
Yeah.
I'm getting that
Ooh,
one.
yes, Batman Black and White, Batman Black and White, oh, Batman Black and White. Yes, 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 yes.
They showed some new Batman Black.
Yeah,
and White.
they look good. The Klaus Johnson one is amazing, and then I forget the artist's name, but the artist who does the Japanese manga of Batman, they're doing a Japanese manga black and white statue. It's,
So pretty.
yeah.
I really liked the DC Collectibles Artist Alley series. So they're taking fan art, like quirky fan art, and turning it into 3D figures.
Oh, shit.
So this one, that the artist is Joe Ledbetter, but it's a bat as Batman.
That's dope.
And so it's just based on his like goofy little cartoon that's so sweet. And then the next one, nope, that's not it. I don't know how to use Instagram. But then the other artists were Chrissy Zillow. She did a really cute Batgirl, like on the little moped thing.
Yeah.
And then Chris Uminga, I think you would like him. He did like these quirky little big-headed. Brad knows how to do it. Okay, so here's the Chrissy Zillow Batgirl. So cute.
That's cool.
Isn't that awesome? And she also did a Wonder Woman that was really badass. And then there's the Chris Uminga.
I like those.
I thought you would. I love their like little
I like the stance.
buggy
It's
eyes
dope.
and
Yeah, I like that.
and then
Head cock.
that comes in like 3 different colors.
They were selling those as con exclusives. Those three there.
That was a Flashpoint Batman in the background, right?
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Lanning, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So cool.
But the reason we were at that panel was because Rick Baker, 7-time Academy Award winner,
Hero
was
of Brad.
hero of mine.
Yeah.
You know, he did the werewolf from American Werewolf in London. He did the werewolf from Thriller. He did all of Thriller.
Yeah.
Harry and the Hendersons. Mighty Joe Young. It was he has sculpted his version of the Joker.
Oh, that Joker buzz.
Yeah, and they had it on site, and we got up close and personal with
Yeah.
it. It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It's ugly gorgeous.
It's ugly gorgeous. They've only produced 100 of them, and
How
they're
much is it going?
$1,000. Life-size Joker bust.
Look at those teeth.
Yeah, I love it so much.
The only way you can explain those teeth is that you knocked him out of a corpse.
And
Stuck him in there.
he was a lot of fun to listen to, and they showed slides of his process of sketching that out, and then eventually finding it in the clay. And he's thrilled to be contributing it. And when they talk to the other sculptors at the DC Collectibles panel, they're saying like, oh, well, we have to go through the process of notes and blah, blah, blah. Da, da. And Rick Baker's just like, well,
I don't want to do any of
I don't
that.
want to do any of that. And if you want me to make a bust, you have to accept what I give you.
Right.
And they said, yeah, you're Rick Baker, 7-time Academy Award winner. So,
I love so Rick Baker is in his retirement, and how he's spending his retirement is just making the art that he wants to make. So he's continuing to do sculpts and
makeup
do
effects.
paintings and do he's just like, well, now I can just do what the fuck that I want to do, which was essentially my job, but for other people and for other people's vision.
Just removing the notes from the process, right?
Yeah.
He's just living his bliss. And I would highly recommend following him on Instagram because he
Oh, yeah.
posts all that stuff.
So cool.
And at the end, of course, several nerds rushed the table to get his signature, take a photo with him. And I did the same, but there were too many nerds, and I was eventually shouted out.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
to
they
leave.
shooed. We were shooed away.
Yeah. But then that's when we met back up with Brian
Yes.
and the Leonard Maltin panel, and
Yes.
that was a
That
total
was freaking
blast.
awesome.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
that was great. I had so much fun just listening to him, and I think that is something else that we took away from this con. Going to your point about the toxicity in fandom and being able to have a conversation with somebody and being able to disagree with them and not have to shun somebody or like call names and do all this stuff. Yeah. And
So
It
the
was
panel,
very jovial.
the panel concept was, you're wrong, Leonard Maltin.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Q&A, line up at the mic
Yeah.
and tell Leonard Maltin why he's wrong, and let's have a conversation, a discussion about it.
Yeah.
Why he had this opinion, why do you have your opinion?
Yeah, Yeah, and I thought it was great, and then you were able to ask your question, and I was able to get that on video and post that up for everybody to see, and everybody loved it. And I think you were probably the only person that really had Leonard Maltin back on his heels.
Yeah, well, I think it certainly helped that Brad brought his Leonard Maltin movie guide, this fucking brick, and he's just Brad's thing was comparing like the original Thing review with the remake, and he like read it off. It was so fucking good.
Yeah, you
so
can.
funny.
Brian recorded it, so check out our Facebook page because it's on there.
And you also wrote it up.
Yeah, and I wrote it up for Film School Rejects. I mean, because it was an inspirational panel.
It was.
Right?
It was great.
Talking about how on the internet you're anonymous. You at somebody, you go, hey, how dare you say that about Batman v Superman? I'm going to take you down. But when you're in the room with that person, they're a human being, and it's two human beings who can actually disagree with each other and be civil.
Yeah,
what?
I know.
And that celebrates what Leonard Maltin does. All right, that's what film criticism is. Exactly. Film criticism is
what
not
it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, right.
Should be.
It's what it should be. Film criticism is the beginning of a conversation with a movie. You watch a film, you write down your thoughts, somebody reads your thoughts, and then you reflect back on your own opinion. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. And that's what this panel was large reminder for.
Yeah.
And then, I wanted to meet up with Jesse and Leonard before the panel, but they were running late. We got there way too early.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, it was cool because after I asked that question, Jesse's like, "Come on down with that movie guide."
That's right.
Yeah.
And Leonard signed it while he continued the panel, and that was cool. And I was like, "Leonard, I'm one of your new voices," and he could not hear what I was saying. So afterwards, after the panel, we met up afterwards, and he obviously has a ton of fans. He talked to a lot of people. Anybody who stayed behind, they wanted a selfie or whatever, they chatted with him. And,
That's awesome.
And then I was able to talk with Jesse and met Jesse's husband, and then met Leonard and talked to Leonard and thanked him for giving me the space.
And Jessie was so sweet
Jesse's
about
the nicest.
She's
like
awesome.
She totally knew Brad by name, like, oh, Brad Gullickson, one of the new voices, and was really gracious in his introduction and
like
really
played me up to her dad, which was which was super cool.
Yeah. She's a fan of Brad.
Yeah. It was all very, very cool. And I mean, he was like, he was a great person, great human. I love that dude.
Yeah, he's great.
A super geek, and I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that even when somebody confronted him about how dare you not like Fight Club, what's your problem? And he says, well, this is my problem. I don't like this, this, and this. And then she's like, what, do you think you'll ever revisit it? And he's like, yeah, when, snowballs freeze in hell.
Oh, wow.
He was
Damn.
not budging on that film at all.
No budge.
Damn. Okay. Was that, did you cap Thursday off with that?
No, that was the beginning.
That was that was in the morning. I'm trying to remember. I think we walked the floor a little bit. I know I went to the Rise of the TMNT panel.
How was my boyfriend Benny Schwartz?
He was great. The whole cat, he was awesome. So that panel was great. It sold me on that show. Granted, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm digging the vibe of that show. And the voice cast, Ben Schwartz was awesome. Kat Graham, who's the voice, she's the voice of April O'Neil. That whole panel was great, and it was packed. It was room 6A. And I think then after that, I may have met back up with you guys. The Thursday's a little bit of a blur.
We all met up and we went. I mean, we went through the exhibit hall.
I know because we hit the exhibit hall.
I mean, what did you guys think about the exhibit hall this year?
There was nothing that I don't think that stood out different from any other years.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of the same.
Yeah,
really.
Like my favorite stuff is I love seeing the costumes, and I thought that Marvel did a really good job of representing all of, because now like the Marvel MCU is fucking huge
on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And so I loved revisiting each day. They switch out the costumes, and I loved getting those pictures.
Yeah.
And
the Captain America, all the different suits.
That was my favorite.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And they had the gauntlet out there, so you could get an up close look of the gauntlet.
How big is it? Like,
it's
huge.
It's
it's
bigger
like,
than yours, right?
Oh hell yeah!
It's huge.
It's like the size of my body. I mean,
it's huge.
If you cut me off at the legs, it's like torso up. That's how big it is.
And it's supposed to be like an accurate 1-to-1 representation of
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how it would be. Thanos
Yeah,
inside.
yeah.
Damn.
So, I mean, having gone to Comic-Con 8 years in a row, the mainstays are all there, right? So Marvel has its booth, and they're going to change out costumes. And I love that. Don't change. Keep it. DC Comics, same deal, right? So they had Shazam's costume, Billy Batson's costume,
Mira.
And then Aquaman, this armor that is not in the trailer that he wears, and he's got like this sundial helmet. It's interesting looking.
And he's got a crop top and work boots.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like bizarre. So it was like, the fancy Atlantean design, but then like at the base of them they're just like Chucks or something.
But all the same booths were there, right? So Nickelodeon had a cool booth. Weta, I loved Weta this year because they had artists on site the entire convention sculpting busts.
Oh shit!
That was really
orcs
cool.
and what have you.
I really enjoyed walking past. They had a face-off booth.
Yeah, yes. Cinema Makeup Effects School.
Yeah, so where they were constantly doing makeup applications. So like the kind where like they transform, not to anybody, but like, and V. Neal, who was on the Face Off show as one of the judges and is a huge makeup artist. Obviously, she was there. She was there, and I was like, "That's cool." And then I took a picture of her profile, and I wanted to say hi, but she was working. So I couldn't say hi.
But then, you have the Hasbro booth and the Mattel stuff and Sideshow Collectibles is there.
IDW is there.
Did Walking Dead have a little setup like they normally do?
Yeah,
they had that. So, I mean, like you say, all the mainstays were there, and they were pretty much in the same area that they're normally in.
But, like, like in years past, we did the, like, People of Earth little eventy thing. And,
but Lisa, again,
but
though.
that shit wasn't there.
No, that stuff was
Had
there,
lines.
but the lines were crazy long around everything.
Yeah.
So this year I just didn't want to sacrifice time to do that stuff.
Right.
Especially on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
So after y'all walked the floor, like, did you do any panels in the evening, afternoon
Well,
panels?
in that evening we went out. We tried to go to Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Shut out of Taco Bell.
Is Thursday the day that we did the Chris Gore panel?
I think that
we did.
Was that Thursday?
No,
or
that was
Friday?
Thursday. No, it was Thursday.
Because we met up with
because it was before Schnepp had passed away.
Right.
Okay, so that was also the panel that Aisha Tyler. Was that Thursday too?
Oh, yeah.
In Ballroom.
Oh, the
20.
great debate.
The great
that
debate.
one's always fun.
That was Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I remember Kale met up with us because Aaron and Amber were at a fashion show. So
our con fam.
Our con fam was there. So I met up with Kale because you guys were in Ballroom 20 for the great debate.
Right.
So we all had like we have a Facebook message group. So I told him. So I was in Ballroom 20. I told him I'm in the back. Just meet up with me.
We all eventually got pretty good seats all together.
Yeah, because I was like, if there's 2 seats near you guys, let me know where you are, and then we
we actually just walked right into Ballroom 20 on Thursday, which is probably the last time you could do that.
And that room was pretty packed for that panel.
Yeah. So. And what the great debate is it's hosted by the Sci-Fi Channel. And it's moderated by Aisha Tyler,
who's amazing. She's my fucking hero.
So good. Awesome. And then on the panel was Orlando Jones,
Joe Manganiello.
Yeah. What's the guy from MythBusters?
Adam Savage.
Adam Savage. Felicia Day.
Janet
Varney, and then
Barrowman.
Our guy John Barrowman.
I like how he's letting the gray show now. Mm-hmm. I think he looks very sophisticated, and he was wearing like a Captain America
dress
situation. He's a lot. I love him, but he's a lot.
So that was my first time going to that panel.
Fun. They give you like little paddles where it's like thumbs up on one side and thumbs down.
Right.
On
so
the other.
they'll tackle nerd arguments. What was one of them?
George Lucas versus Stan Lee, like who's had more influence on the MCU. They decided Stan
not
Lee,
on the MCU. Who's had more influence on the
film,
pop culture?
Culture.
But I think the one we were debating the most was towards the end. They said, "All right, so which team? The Avengers, Justice League, or the X-Men?
Right.
Who would win?
Who would win? So
we know the answer, Darren. What's the answer?
The Avengers.
No,
Justice League
'cause
would
they have
win.
Superman.
But
it could be just Superman against all those people.
But I made an argument about
true.
X-Men. If you have Rogue, she can suck the power.
No, he's gonna blow his freeze breath and she'll turn to a cube immediately. Won't
With
get
the
near
X-Men,
her.
you also have, if it's Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force.
Okay, well, Phoenix Force. That might be a challenge for Superman. Superman will take care of her.
Who's definitely not going to be the one is the Avengers. Sorry, Hawkeye. You are useless.
But that was a fun. That was my. I don't know if you have been to that one in years past.
Yeah, we went to it last year, and so we
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we won
So
again.
it was a lot of fun. It was cool.
You see yourself going?
Possibly. I mean, again, next year might be a little bit different from this year as far as being able to walk into certain panels. But that is one I would definitely keep my eye on, especially if Aisha Tyler is moderating that.
Yeah, she's so
freaking
funny.
awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
And like she is like a nerd encyclopedia. She knows about
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and like just crazy quick wit.
Very. Yes. Absolutely.
She destroyed some of those panelists.
Yeah.
So that's the.
Then
that's the
we
end of
went.
Thursday?
We went to the Chris Gore indie
Yes.
panel.
Adam Rifkin was on that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The Dark Backward.
So we got to see trailers for Theta Girl, Bernard and Huey, which actually looks interesting, and a short film starring Doug Jones called the Boogies, which also looked interesting. Oh, and then a trailer for Director's Cut, which was directed by Adam Rifkin and starred Penn Jillette.
Oh.
Before he lost the weight.
Yeah, that's available now on demand if you want to watch it.
I do not want to watch it. It looks. I love Penn Jillette. I don't want to see him as a creepy murderer.
Oh.
But then after that was a pretty good panel. Like nothing revolutionary, but
Yeah.
but a
They
good
announced-
conversation.
Did you watch Attack of the Show back in the day?
I've seen like
Attack the Show,
a few
yeah.
episodes.
Yeah. So he announced that they're going to be doing an Attack of the Show documentary.
Attack of the Duck.
Attack of the Dog.
Directed by Chris Gore. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're doing a kick.
They're working on it now.
GoFundMe.
Okay.
So after that, we went out to the Gas Lamp District, tried to get a Taco Bell, got shut out of Taco Bell.
Damn.
But then we went to the Michael J. Wolf Art Gallery, and that's where they were doing the Star Trek Mirror Universe
Oh, yeah, that's
exhibit, where they had a lot of the costumes, the costume
All of
that
the
Michelle Yeoh wore, and Anthony Rapp and Sonequa Martin Green. I can never say her name right the first time. All her costumes for the Mirror Universe, the Terran stuff.
Yeah. All of that shit looks cool.
I mean, it's a cool exhibit. I took photos of all of that, and you can see that on my Instagram, or you can also check it out on TrekNews.net.
Yeah.
This is also the day I cosplayed.
Yeah.
And I think I broke a personal record. Not one person recognized me or even mistaked me for somebody else.
Oh.
So I've kind of been doing this is the third time I've cosplayed as Dawn Greenwood from Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
So the first time I dressed like her in Volume 1, where she's just got the little dress with the collar.
Yeah.
Volume 2, she adds a jacket.
The jacket with the polka dots.
With the polka dots. So Volume 3, she starts kind of getting out of like her, just black and red thing. And in one, and a couple of times she wears a pair of black pants and a pink shirt with a jacket over it. And then, of course, I wear the blue wig, and I just look like a girl in a blue wig. I don't look like a character at all. But I did get a retweet and a really nice shout out on Twitter from Michael Allred, who is my all-time favorite comic book artist. I love his total retro style with the thick lines, and so that was thrilling.
Yeah, Thursday was a good day. Thursday was a
Great
good day.
day.
Highlight for me was the Leonard Maltin panel and meeting him and Jesse.
Yeah, that was cool.
Friday.
Well, Friday.
Friday was
So let me ask you this firstly. With Marvel not being there, with HBO not being there, with Game of Thrones, what you were saying, Brad, about those people who would normally be in line for that dispersing and being in other areas of the convention or whatever. Did you notice Thursday and also going into Friday, were the lines for people lining up for Hall H, were they different?
Thursday, you could walk into Hall H at any time.
Yeah, I guess that was the big thing, because I know we talked about it. You guys said that you were going to get into Hall H line like around 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah, we woke up at 2, and we got to the Hall H line by 3
On Thursday?
On Friday.
For Friday morning.
Friday morning.
Yeah.
And we walked right into the third tent.
Right.
Which was interesting because then when I met up with you guys, I told myself, I was like, all right, I'll try to get in, but I was expecting to be like over there by the bayfront.
Right.
You know, the line was going to be long. So I got up around 5. I think I met up with you guys like around 6 or so. And I'm walking, and I see the guys who pass out the wristbands.
You walked right by him.
I know. I know. I was just making a straight shot because I assumed the line.
I saw
was
Brian
that.
just like blitz right by the.
And I was like, the Hall H line. It was like, yeah, it was like, here's a wristband. And 6 o'clock in the morning, they give me a C wristband. So they didn't even get to the D wristbands.
Right.
Why did they even bother doing wristbands at that point
Well,
in the morning?
Well, the deal though was Saturday the line was already formed. Thursday this was when the line started for the Saturday. And
Thanks to Sean.
Sean started.
He was the number one in line.
Shout out to that guy. I saw that. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah,
He is nuts. He's a dedicated dude.
Yeah, he was awesome.
So he was the placeholder for us.
And I met up with Sean. I think maybe Thursday. I went out there. Just to make sure he was okay. And I talked to him, and he was cool.
That's his con for him. He loves being in the line.
Yeah, and because he says he does that for Michael, for his son. And we talked about it a little bit more, where he explained to me, like last year when his son got to meet Andy Serkis, that was like everything for him. And he said, like, if he can do that for his son, then like that's everything. So I was like, if you ever need us to switch out, if you're good, let me know. He was like, nah, man, just go enjoy the con. He was like, I'll be here. I was like, okay, man, just, we're on the Facebook message group. Just let me know if you need a break. So he was cool.
So Friday, Hall H, for me, was the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we're in line.
Yeah.
And around 7:30 in the morning, I notice, this guy passing out donuts or trying to pass out donuts. And he's like, he's in the fourth tent, the tent further back from us. Mm-hmm. And he's like trying to wake people up who are in their sleeping bags.
Yeah.
And like a guy would wake up in his sleeping bag, he'd look up at him, and then the guy would be like, no, I don't want donut. I don't want a donut. And then I was like, oh shit, that guy handing out donuts is Anson Mount, who's Captain Pike from the new Star Trek Discovery Season 2. He was also in Hell on Wheels and The Inhumans.
Yeah.
Brian reminded me that he was the bad guy in Nonstop.
Really? Wait.
Yeah. Did you not remind me who?
No, maybe somebody else. I didn't know he was in Nonstop.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't realize that. Okay.
Or I just had a little mini episode. You didn't remind me that he was the bad guy in Nonstop? Somebody reminded me recently that he's the bad guy in Nonstop.
Okay.
Anyway, Anson Mount and I got immediately giddy. And the security person who was like way back, so like, yo, you a Star Trek fan? I was like, oh, I'm a Star Trek fan. Like, okay, we'll get him over here. And then Anson Mount came over to our tent next because he was having no luck in the fourth tent. And we got to talk to him for a good little bit of time, just the three of us.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Got a picture with him. That was the only picture I got because you guys made sure.
Oh, hell
so
yeah.
We got the whole cast.
Here's the thing. Once we realized that Anson Mount was in our line, in the first tent was the rest of Star Trek Discovery cast.
Yeah.
And last year when Circus was going around, they wouldn't let us get up and move, right? So I was like, oh, I guess they're going to come our way. I don't know. But here's the thing. As much as Comic-Con is a geek community, it's not so much of a Star Trek community. Yeah. So no one was really getting excited about the Star Trek cast. Yeah. And it started to become clear that they were not going to come over to our tent.
Yeah.
And so Lisa jumped up and just busted out of line when she saw Anthony Rapp glowing in the morning sun like a fucking angel. So I bound out of line and I was like standing there and he was like actively talking to somebody else. And
the security guard for Anthony Rapp was like, hold on, lady. He'll talk to you. Calm down. Said that to Lisa.
Yeah.
She was bouncing, and I think Brian's got footage of that.
Yeah, I took some photos because I was in the other tent. I was too nervous to jump to the next tent.
Just rule breakers.
Yeah, because I know as soon as I see everybody else do it, I'm like, I know I'm gonna be the guy. As soon as I do it, somebody's gonna be like, dude, go back. I was like, oh. So I was like, I'm just gonna stay here and just take photos from afar.
But so Anthony Rapp plays Stamets, and so he is like the engine for the entire ship, which is amazing. But
he runs the spore drive.
Yeah, but he also, plays like one half of Star Trek's official gay couple, and I just love their relationship so much, and I love like his development as a character as he's been influenced by these spores, and I've heard him as a guest on Jimmy Pardo's podcast, and he just seems like a really cool dude.
And they were doing selfies and giving us donuts, so we got our selfies with Anthony Rapp, and then Wilson Cruz.
Yes, who plays the other part of that
relationship.
Couple. And they made the grave error of killing the gay spouse like right away in the show, and it was like this huge thing because it's kind of like a thing where it's just like when you have a gay couple, you got to kill one of them, like in pop culture. But then like I was just like, I was so sad and he's like, don't worry, I am here and I know things. So I was just like, yay, so cool.
So he'll be coming back. Yeah. And you know what was great about that is Wilson stars with Devin Druid on 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
And Devin saw our selfie through our ItMod Twitter and tweeted us and said, "Oh, Wilson, I'm so glad you got to meet our dork friends." And then yes. And then Wilson responded, "I knew they were cool dorks."
Isn't that sweet?
Front door.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was super cool. It was super cool.
That's cool.
Yay.
And then who else?
Because last year, someone from Star Trek, was it Brian Fuller that was handing out?
Yeah, Brian Fuller. That was
He
2 years
still-
ago.
he was
Okay.
attached,
And who else?
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
He touched my hair.
Yeah.
Doug Jones.
He gave me a hug.
He was cool, right? Was
Oh,
he
it
a
was
guy?
cool. Super
So cool.
Yeah.
I could not process like even meeting him because I've seen him in tons of stuff. I
Lisa
love
was
Shape of
losing her
Water.
mind through this entire process.
Yeah.
What I love about Saru as a character is that his superpower is his anxiety. Like he's a Kelpian, which like he is like the bottom of the food chain on his planet. So he's highly evolved to sense danger. So like he is just
Living anxiety.
He's just living anxiety. So I kind of feel like Saru and the Kelpians, they're kind of like my spirit animal. I too am just living anxiety, and I couldn't express that in the moment, and I'm hoping that I get to see him at Star Trek Las Vegas.
Oh yeah,
so I can express that to him. But I loved meeting him, and he was so fucking gracious.
Yeah, he was super cool. And then
Sharif, what is his name?
Ash
Tyler.
Ash Tyler. What's his name? Shabazz. Oh, you don't have it there?
No.
No.
I have it on my Twitter. I'm looking at my Instagram.
You're going to have to edit all of this, Darren, but then you won't. You won't do it. This is terrible podcasting.
It's okay. Brian, sing something for the people.
But
why can I not remember his name?
I said sing something.
Oh, I have a baritone voice. I don't know. Can I do some Barry White?
Ooh, Barry White is bass.
Shazad Latif.
Bass.
You were right.
Yeah.
You were right. Oh
Too
my
late,
God.
Brian.
He's so-
Edit all of that out.
But he plays the.
Well,
I guess I don't want to
say
spoil
what
it.
don't
But
say.
he plays kind of a love interest character for Michael Burnham for Sonequa Martin Green, and so
He's great in the show.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like
Dreamy.
for us, it's not going to get any better on this Comic-Con review cast for these two Trekkies.
That was definitely the con highlight.
Yeah.
But then Hall H itself.
Yeah, we got in.
That lineup for Friday sounds like, not sounds like, that lineup for Friday, and based on with the pictures and stuff, seemed like it was way better than Saturday.
Well, yeah.
For me, it
For
was.
us,
Yeah.
Well,
It started with a panel, a Joss Whedon panel, a retrospective on Dr. Horrible sing-along blog,
That's right.
which because it's like the 10th anniversary or something.
Yeah, 10.
It started out kind of weird because they didn't have any footage, to be in that huge space, and not a lot of people really like well, Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, I super love it. It was an online web series musical.
One of the first.
Extraordinarily niche.
Yeah.
And they just kind of were like, yeah, we did this 10 years ago. Let's take questions. And so it was just questions, the whole panel. But there, it was Joss Whedon, Nathan Fillion, and Felicia Day, and they are amazing on
It
panel.
took a little while for them to get going, but once they did, it was entertaining.
Yeah, they all can just spitball and stuff. They're great.
But I wish they had brought some footage, even if they didn't have new footage. Just
think
put
that
a
they should have
clip
cut-
show together.
Yeah, I think they should have cut something together or played for their so it's a musical, and so for their director's commentary, the director's commentary is also a musical, which is amazing. So I wish they would have shown some of that because that was super fun. But yes.
And then after that,
it was the 2 Walking Dead panels. So they have Fear of the Walking Dead, which is a show I don't watch, but I know you said because what's the actor Garrett Dillahunt?
Oh,
Yeah.
Garrett Dillahunt's on.
is
Garrett
on the show.
Dillahunt and
one of Brad's
Jenna
babes.
Elfman.
Jenna Elfman. is
Apparently, they
on.
play a romantic couple.
Yeah.
Really?
What?
So they're on that show, and
It was a good panel.
It
I
was
don't care
good.
at all about that TV show.
Yeah.
But good cast, good panel.
and I've fallen off of Walking Dead proper, but I really enjoyed that panel because, well, Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln announced that it was his final season coming up, and it was nice at the end of that panel that everybody was able to give him a standing ovation for what he's given the fans over the last 9 to 10 years on that show.
I can't believe that show is 10
is
years
that show
old.
10 years old?
Just about almost 10, yeah, because they're going into their 9th season. It was 2010, I think, when the first season was.
That's crazy.
But I don't know. I thought that was cool, and being a fan of those characters and a former fan of the show, I was able to at least appreciate that panel. So I don't know. I thought that was really cool, and that was really nice to see that for him. So it's going to be interesting to see how they write him out of the show, but I think it's well deserved. I talked about it before that I Sorry to Bother You. We talked about Stephen Yeun, him leaving the show, and now you see his career kind of taking off. Andrew Lincoln said that, he has a family and he wants to spend time with his family. Part of me does think that he wants to pursue other options, and I think being on a hit TV show, it does kind of put your career at a halt at some degree. But now this frees him up, and I think he's going to be able to do a lot more, hopefully. And I would like to see him do a lot more. So I thought that panel was cool. What was after Walking
Star Trek
Dead?
Discovery.
Yes.
This panel was so great. That cast is like a love fest. And this is a trend I hope they continue doing it at Comic-Con because I think it works really well. They used a person from the cast to moderate the panel.
Yes.
Oh.
So they used Tig Notaro, who you know that I love.
That's right, she's on that
She's
show.
going to be playing Reno, the Discovery engineer. So that should be interesting. But yeah, that cast she talked about how her first day of shooting, she went home to her wife, Stephanie, and was like, Stephanie, I have so many new best friends. I'm like, that is so cute. I was just so,
And, they showed the trailer for the 2nd season, which you can check out online right now. I'm excited about it. That season ended with the Enterprise showing up, and now Anson Mount is captaining the Enterprise with number 1, and his number 1 is Rebecca Romijn, from X-Men and Femme Fatale. And Spock is missing, and so it sounds like the first half of the 2nd season is going to be about tracking down Spock and why he went missing. And Alex Kurtzman's taking over as showrunner, and he made a lot of promises about connecting this to canon. And I'm guessing we're going to have some time, dimension shenanigans once again. That the universe that we've been experiencing in Star Trek Discovery is not technically the same universe that we've seen in the original series or the films. That's the impression that I got. But whatever the case, the footage is good. I love seeing Pike in yellow, and I love seeing the Enterprise crew.
The new season doesn't come out until January 2019. And then even after saying that, they're like, but not early January 2019. Sounds like it might be February 2019.
Right.
Because I remember the first season starting around. Like,
Yeah,
the
they're
beginning of the
taking
year,
their
right?
time with it, and I mean,
Well,
it
they've had
shows.
some, problems behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But
But
even
they
between
said-
season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, they said to tide us over, they are releasing little short films in the
Short
meantime.
treks.
They're calling them short treks. So apparently, we're going to get. So they're going to be like 4 10 to 15 minute films, like one highlighting Tilly as a character, a little bit more background on Harry Mudd, who is Rainn Wilson's character. And we're going to get some more of Saru's backstory.
Yeah, but those are still not coming out until December. So.
Yeah, so. But Brad and I, since we've gotten back from Comic-Con, have been like mainlining, rewatching that first season because we are so high on Discovery right now.
Yeah. And going into Star Trek Las Vegas next weekend. So I'm pretty excited. Nice. Now, after that was
Universal Glass.
Glass.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. Seeing Samuel L. Jackson and the family that we met in line behind us, they were huge Samuel L. Jackson fans. They were like, that's one of the reasons we're here. So, and of course, he drops the first motherfucker of the con, which was awesome. It was cool to see Bruce Willis in Hall H. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think he's been there before. No. Just like when Nick Cage was there for Ghost Rider back in like 2011, it was cool to see him there. So. Then M. Night drops the first trailer for Glass, and I think that's the first trailer to get released online as well. So, I really enjoyed it. I did do some recaps that's on YouTube now, and I know, like, we talked about it a little bit, but I know you had a little bit of reservation as far as the trailer. But
I'm not sure if I necessarily love the mental asylum conceit. That's how we're going to bring these 3 characters together, and the idea that you guys could just of Dr. Sarah Paulson saying this epidemic of people thinking they're superheroes. I would have rather them come together in some other more organic way. I think.
Yeah, and I think after you said that, I definitely agree, and that's the angle I thought they were going to take with that, instead of making it like. Basically forcing them to kind of be together in this asylum,
because you can already sort of sense how the plot's going to go. Sarah Paulson's going to learn that this dude is unbreakable. I don't know.
I like Sarah Paulson though.
Same,
and I liked Hall H's reaction to Sarah Paulson.
Yep, and the footage, it looks good. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
My concerns could just be for not. Hopefully he'll deliver a kick-ass team up.
Was Paulson on the panel? Was she
She was there. Her and Anya Taylor-Joy both were on there. So she's coming back, which I'm interested to see her character reappear and see how that.
She's gonna have some kind of crazy powers, maybe.
Yeah, to see how her storyline with James McAvoy and the Beast, how that exploring that a little bit further. So I'm excited for Glass.
Yeah,
I'm really.
I'm looking forward to it.
But did you catch it online?
I saw the trailer online. I kind of wish I didn't watch it. But I did. But anyway, I do want to say, like,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Well,
he doesn't like to watch trailers. He likes to be surprised.
But coming off of Split, and just being like dumbfounded by like that huge
There's nothing
revelation.
miraculous in that trailer,
right? So I was like, you know what? Maybe do I just want to go into the movie like I went into Split, because I went into Split knowing nothing, and I said, do I want to do that for the next one? But then the whole Comic-Con thing, I was like, you know what, I can't be there, so let me just take a peek, let me just see what it is. And my biggest takeaway from the trailer is how it just reminded me how good James McAvoy was in Split in those distinct personalities. And it immediately made me want to go back and rewatch that movie. And so I'm really curious to see what Shyamalan has in store and how this story is supposed to unfold, how these characters are going to relate and relate to each other, and how these characters are going to develop.
The most exciting thing I got from it was just seeing Sam Jackson as Glass again.
Yeah,
he looks so good.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I'm excited. I want to see it.
And I love that. I love that last line. It's like, "What's your name? First name Mister, last name Glass." Oh, so good.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
But
so after
then,
that,
To me, this is another highlight of the whole con was Halloween. Just having
that's shocking. That the fact that Brian is excited to see that movie can't really be understated.
Well, the thing is, I'm not a big horror fan, but being a child of the '80s and growing up with the classic slasher films, like slasher icons like Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy. I don't know. I'm genuinely excited for the film. The panel itself, just having Jamie Lee Curtis there and her talk about the character of Laurie Strode, talk about the trauma of the character, the PTSD that she's dealt with, knowing that Michael Myers would always come back, and it was so inspirational.
The randomness of that original event.
Yeah, and it was just so inspiring because she was also talking about how Laurie Strode had to just basically take control of her life again and changing the narrative of the whole thing, and it just felt inspiring. And I joked and said, "Man, we're having church up in here," because it felt that way. And then when the guy came up,
right. One thing I found interesting about her little opening statement about how this new Halloween movie is going to be about taking back your narrative. Yeah. She made reference to the ESPYs where all of the abused female gymnasts stood and took back their narrative, and I liked how she related this. That this is not a this is not going to be a backwards looking film, that the message of this film is relevant. Women who are victims of violence and abuse, taking back their narrative and being victims no more, but being survivors. Exactly. So I thought that was really cool.
And before we're moving on to the Q&A portion of this, the footage they showed was
so
crazy cool.
So, I mean, that one long take following Michael Myers going through the neighborhood on Halloween night, just phenomenal.
And, the way he... goes to the garage, picks up the hammer, brings the hammer into the kitchen, knocks the lady on the head, sees the knife, trades the hammer for the knife, moves over to the babysitter next door. It was stealthy and creepy and gorgeous. Yes. It's the most stylish looking Halloween film we've had, certainly since the original, but maybe even just had full stop.
Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I love long one take shots, and to be able to see that as he's going through house to house, and it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I thought that was great. The footage looked amazing, so I'm excited for that.
And when does that come out? That's this year.
October 19th.
Yeah. It's gonna be a Fantastic Fest, Darren. I know
it. Throwing out some predictions up here.
But the highlight of that panel was really this gentleman who came up during the Q&A, and he was wearing a Haddonfield High sports jersey. And I mean, Lisa, could you you paid real close attention. I don't want to ruin his account.
Yeah. So when he was a young adult, he was home alone, and he saw that there was a man with a knife outside of his home, stalking outside of his home, trying to get in. And he was, of course, terrified.
And as he's reiterating this account, he's starting to cry.
Get emotional.
Yeah.
Because of that trauma is coming back to him. Yeah. And he was like, but, your movie, your performance saved my life, because I just thought to myself, what would Jamie Lee Curtis do? And so what he did was, in the trash can, there were some broken knitting needles. And he grabbed the broken knitting needles and he burst out of his house and he ran like hell to the neighbors and banged on the door. And, luckily they were home and they got the door, and he's like, please, you've got to let me in. There's this guy. And they're like, well, you're not coming in with those knitting needles. So he threw the knitting needles away, and he was in the house, and he was able to call the police, and he's now still here, and he really does and has, after all of these years, this is a grown man at this point, after all of these years, credit Halloween, credit Jamie Lee Curtis for being alive. And
and has become a super fan of the character of the series.
And if anybody got a fucking just Queen for Life award, Jamie Lee Curtis, she hears him. You know, she really hears him, and she gets down off the stage,
which is a process,
down onto the floor, and she just embraces him. Like the camera is like zipping around, like what's happening to put it on the big screen.
Yeah,
but it
and
wasn't
the moderator's
about
like, how do I fill this?
Yeah, it was
space?
Yvette Nicole Brown from Community. She was a great host. She was charming. But you know, like he, you know, she just embraced him, and he just broke down and wept. And wept into, and it was just like, you know, they tried to get it on the screen, but really you got the sense that this was like a truly like a private moment, and it was just so moving.
You got to think, if he still has or had any residual trauma from that incident, that had to have gone a long way, if not being closure and help for that and healing for that man.
I'd hope so.
To have her do that, her be the one.
So cool.
And he, you know, he said, "This is why I'm here.
This is why, that was the
I need to
reason
tell you this."
Like here at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You know, he traveled to just see Jamie Lee Curtis
and to tell her his story.
Yeah, it was so awesome.
Yeah. And what was great about that is like, so that happened, and then the Q&A continues.
Yeah.
But Jamie Lee Curtis is obviously, and everybody on the panel, but Jamie Lee Curtis in particular, was profoundly moved by it, but then still had to keep going with the show.
Yeah.
And she would bring the other questions back to that gentleman. And I thought the way she handled that and processed that experience for herself was really interesting to watch.
She's all class.
Yeah.
She is a person who is really making art to change the world. I mean, and you know, you look at horror films and they're often treated like, you know, like trivial. You know, they're just, you know, brain candy, just something to like zhuzh up your adrenaline, and then you just leave and you forget it. But Laurie Strode is a person to her. Laurie Strode, she's lived with Laurie Strode since she was 17 years old. And in Laurie Strode is every woman who's been a victim of violence, every person who's been traumatized and had no care, no. You know, she says this girl, you know, Laurie Strode was from the Midwest. They probably sent her back to school 2 days later. You know, like just no counseling, just no nothing, and just has to walk through the world with this wound, and
how it's, you know, shaped her relationships with friends and lovers and children.
You know, it to the point in this movie, you really get the sense that it has ruined her life, and this movie is going to be the turning point for Laurie Strode, where Laurie Strode is now a hero.
You came away from that panel going, all right, Halloween has a lot to live up to from what she has just revealed and has unveiled of what she's bringing into the experience.
But she has the utmost faith in the
David
writer
Gordon Green.
David Gordon Green, and she really said it was his script that that made her come back and made her want to make this film. You know, this is not any kind of cash grab. This is a passion project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you know, I'm super excited.
Yeah, it gets me excited for that film.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm excited now.
Yeah. And then after that was
Bumblebee.
Should I get bangs?
Yeah.
Should I get bangs? She looks so sweet.
Oh, Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld looks
She had
so
bangs?
sweet with her bangs. Yes, she's got the 80s
in the
bangs
film.
thing.
In the film.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. No, she doesn't have. Okay. Yeah. This panel was awesome.
It was.
Another great panel.
This might be my favorite.
This is a huge surprise. Like coming out of hearing both B and B champion like this movie now, because
you know,
what, Bumblebee?
No, well, not Bumblebee, but not a huge surprise from you, but really from Brad. Like,
but not really, because I am a massive fan already of Travis Knight and what he's done with Leica and films like Paranorman and The Box Trolls and Kubo and the Two Strings and Coraline, and you know, he is really bringing a love of the original characters, cartoons, and toys to this film.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have said Gen 1
A lot,
1,000
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
He was making it clear.
Supposed to, yeah.
Yeah. They can't technically ignore the Bay stuff.
No, and he mentions Bay, and he doesn't bash Michael Bay at all. He actually kind of pays some respect, but he just says we're going in a different direction, but we do still have to make sure that this stuff connects in some way.
But even if you look at the trailer that's out now, the Bumblebee design is radically different than what we got in the Bay films.
It's a bug to start out
Well,
with.
yeah, but I mean, just even like the way you can still very much see the bug in his
Absolutely.
robot form.
Exactly.
It's not a perfect adaptation of the Gen 1, but there's more in common. But really, it wasn't so much about the footage this panel.
The footage was great because we did get exclusive footage that was only for us in Hall H, but the opening of it with kind of like that semi-light show.
Yeah, Steve Bush.
Stan
Bush, yeah.
With his performance of You Got the Touch.
That is freaking crazy.
That was so fun.
Amazing.
I
So
mean,
good.
Yeah, when you start that, like when I first heard that, I was like, okay, they're doing this right.
I would have gotten goosebumps. I
I
might have
did.
teared
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
nuts.
it was really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the guy from Entertainment Weekly, I never can remember his name. He was the moderator. And he brought Travis Knight out first, and then he brought Haley Steinfeld out. And then, Beastie Boys kicks on, and John Cena bursts forth into Hall H from the side door right near us.
Yeah.
And storms the auditorium and goes in and starts shaking hands with all the fans that he's passing by and hugging people. And he makes his way to the front of the stage.
That's awesome.
That was super, super cool.
And he was great on the panel.
Oh my God.
So charismatic and so funny. I mean, I love John Cena now. He's great.
And he could take any question, whether it was awkward or sincere or
Yeah.
stupid, and turn it into something fun.
Exactly. So, yeah, I thought that panel was absolutely fantastic. And then some of the other tidbits that Travis Knight dropped about the villains, voiced by Angela Bassett and Justin Theroux, Shatter and Dropkick, that they are triple changers.
Yeah.
And also, to the disappointment of some, that wasn't Starscream. That was actually Blitzwing. And but he said, "Don't worry." He was like, "There's a reason, and everything will be fine." And then the footage we see is when actually Blitzwing is tracking Bumblebee, and there's a little fight between the two of them.
And it must be the opening, or
It
very
looks like
close to
it looks like it's the opening of the film, and it looks good. I mean,
So they show Blitzwing in robot form.
Yeah.
yeah.
Does he look different than when like the Starscream or the jets from?
From the
Bay's
Michael.
movie?
Oh yeah. No, it looks.
Oh
Completely,
yeah, he looks way different.
Yeah, way different. No, Travis Knight is very familiar with Gen 1, and he's paying respect to the Gen 1, to the Gen 1 Transformers. So, yeah, I'm excited. It has me super excited for this film.
When does that come out?
December
October?
December.
Oh no,
21st.
yeah, that's right, December. Yeah,
Same day as Aquaman and Alita. Battle Angel.
it's the same day.
Same day.
Same weekend. That's right.
That's cool. That's a crowded month
Seeing Bumblebee first.
over Aquaman.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. All right. We'll get to it.
Okay. But yeah, good panel. Bumblebee, good panel.
Yeah, that was one of my
And then we
favorites.
closed out Hall H with Sony.
Yeah. So then after that, they brought Into the Spider-Verse and Venom. So Into the Spider-Verse was first. Yeah. So Haley Stein.
Go ahead.
So Haley Steinfeld came back out.
She's into the Spider.
She's the voice. She's the voice of Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider Gwen. And Shamik Moore and Jake Johnson. Jake or Jack? Johnson.
From the new girl. What's that guy's name?
Ooh.
Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson.
Is he Peter?
Jack Johnson is a
musician.
Is a musician.
Yeah. Jake Johnson's. Yeah, he's Peter Parker.
Okay. Yeah. So I thought the footage looked great.
Yeah, I mean, I love the animation style.
Yeah.
We saw a lot more of the Green Goblin. Looks like a dragon. He's crazy looking.
Yeah, Kingpin is in there.
he looks
voiced by Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, he looks like a monster.
Yeah.
We saw Noir Spider-Man voiced by Nicolas Cage.
And Spider-Ham.
We saw
Who's voiced by John Mulaney.
Yeah.
What? Spider-Ham's in?
Yep. And he's like, when he introduces himself to Miles, his hands are dripping wet. He's like, I just washed my hands. That's why they're wet. Don't worry about it. I'm Spider-Ham.
So yeah, but I thought the footage, like, I mean, of course, it's reported that Peter Parker is dead because you see him at his grave, but of course that must be a cover.
No. It's parallel universes. That's the whole
thing.
thing.
It's a different Peter Parker.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's Miles' Peter Parker. He is dead.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's right.
And then Spider-Gwen is from another universe where Gwen Stacy gets the spider powers.
And Peter Parker was turned into the lizard.
Yeah, so.
Interesting. Okay. So they're playing with all these different dimensions and universes. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays
And the
out.
Jake Johnson Peter Parker is a 40-year-old Peter Parker. Peter Parker who's, been around the block, is a little exhausted and maybe a little too pudgy.
No. I don't think that Peter Parker can get pudgy. I think that isn't that like part of the thing.
I mean, he just has to eat a lot of donuts.
But yeah, I thought the footage looks great.
Yeah, it looks great.
And then like with the word bubbles coming up to see what they're thinking.
So fun.
Love that.
It looks really cool. And they showed an extended scene where Miles Morales, when he kind of discovers his powers. Mm-hmm. It's similar to the first movie, the Sam Raimi movie, when Peter Parker goes to school. But this one is a little bit more clever when he has his hands on the girl's head.
Oh,
Gwen's head.
And he has to pull, and he has hair all on his hands.
Yeah.
So I thought that scene was really, really
Got
cool.
the hairy palms.
No.
So yeah, I came away from that just even more excited. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then Sony took a big wet fart on the stage, and that was weird.
I know. it was cool to see Tom Hardy and Riz Ahmed and them there, but
Damn.
you know what? Like, Hall H ate it up.
They sure did.
They ate it up. I'm with you guys. The footage didn't impress me.
It looks terrible.
It didn't impress
serious?
me.
Yeah, I do not. I'm not looking forward to it. They showed at least one other symbiote.
Riot.
Which is like a big beefy one. Yeah. But like the CG doesn't work for me. The story looks super boring. I'm just not impressed by anything I'm seeing from Venom. Dang.
Yeah, it just did not look.
But we got those little Venom
That was
masks.
the best part, you know.
Though when I see it lying around, it looks like a loose panty. Like it just looks like a panty.
It was on the
around.
floor today,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What? Lisa's just leaving her panties over here." I was like, "Oh, this is my Venom mask. Let me try it on."
That's what he does with my panties too. He just wears it like a Venom mask.
Yeah,
I'm an owl.
The picture we took, I like that picture.
Yeah,
me too.
So that was cool. That's cool.
That's cool.
But I do not care about that.
Damn.
I'm gonna still go see it.
Of course.
When is that? Was that this year, right?
October 5th.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, I know, Lisa, you had
Yeah,
a
I ended up
migraine.
getting a migraine. So
Yeah,
this
that's right.
this is the first time in 4 years
At least 3.
that where Brad and I didn't sleep out, because it was like one of those where it's just like sudden onset, like ow. And it was like one of those things where I was still like, as we're walking out, like, I'll just take my medicine, and if I sit in the dark for like a second, it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went, and then I just fell asleep on the bed,
Oh,
and and we missed the wristbands and the whole thing. So no Saturday Hall H for us.
Yeah, we could not simply walk into the Hall H line on Saturday.
we
Yeah,
could not.
yeah. So I went after we left Friday Hall H. I went to the line to meet up with everybody. So because Scott came in late. And so got to meet up with him, got to meet up with Aisha and Miriam and all of them. So all of them were already out there. So, I said, if you guys can make it, then that's cool. But if not, definitely take care of Lisa, make sure she's cool. And I know Scott texted you to make sure she was okay.
Yeah, he's so sweet.
Yeah, and so did we end up getting our wristbands, spent a little time out there. So then everybody kind of dispersed. And we slept out. I came back to the room, shower, changed.
Shame.
I know.
Shame.
I should have stayed out there because Michael, Sean, and Kale stayed out. So I went back. I did another recap video while I was in the room. Then got ready to come back. But the thing about it is, like, I couldn't get the shuttle back to the convention center, so I had to call an Uber because the shuttle kept saying, "We're not going back. We're not going back." So I'm out in the middle of Hotel Circle in midnight. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I need to get back to the convention center. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to call an Uber. So I get back there around 12:30, and like Kale and Michael are up, and they're under the tents. They're right there. And they were just waiting to tell me. They was like, oh, man, Brian's going to be so upset. And it was like, guess who we just saw? I was like, who came through? It's like James Wan. I was like, are you serious? I was like, what time was this? He was like around 11:30. But they said but he wasn't like with security. He literally was just walking around the convention center, and he came up and asked us, like, what are you guys waiting out for? It was like, well, we're here for Saturday Hall H. And then somebody recognized him. It was like, oh, can you take a picture? And he only took a picture with like a handful of people, but they said he was really cool. And I was like, God damn it, I missed that.
The picture with him next to Kale, that dude is petite.
James Wan's a tiny man.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. You talk about the shuttles. That was the other big difference this year is Lisa and I shuttled the entire time. We didn't park once.
Yeah.
Right.
Parking this year, $50.
What?
$50 a day.
It was $20 at first, right?
Yeah.
God damn.
So we shuttled.
Those shuttles didn't look so bad after that.
Right?
The shuttles actually were they
worked just fine.
Yeah.
As long the only problem with them is if you like I think it was Thursday.
It was Thursday.
We just like Brad we packed our fucking backpack with collectibles, and Brad was like, my back. And so I was like, it's no problem. We'll just take a shuttle back, put the stuff away, and then shuttle right back in. We'll lose no time. But the thing with in the middle of the day, the shuttles are not like every 15 minutes like they are at the beginning and the end.
They're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be every 15 minutes. But the thing is, they don't move the bus until the bus is full at one end or the other. And in the middle of the day, people aren't leaving.
Yeah.
So the people who are waiting, like we waited for almost 45 minutes.
Damn.
It was forever.
Yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah.
We lost almost 2 hours on Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, the shuttles actually really worked out. I mean, for the
most
most
part,
part.
they
if
sure
you take them at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, they are
Great.
the thing.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that Friday night, trying to get back to the convention center, like, it was perfect taking the shuttles. I only had to do an Uber, and then at the Sunday, taking the Lyft with you guys back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was awesome. Transportation was awesome. The whole trip.
So do you want to talk about your Hall H first,
so-
and then we'll... or should we talk about our 2 panels? Because all we did that day, we did 2 panels on Saturday, and then we went into the exhibit hall, and I think that's pretty much it, right, Lisa?
What panel did you go to?
When did you guys do this? Was it Steven
Yeah, so
Universe
that-
Saturday?
Yeah, so that was the Indigo Ballroom, which is in the
Okay.
not the Marriott. What's the Hilton Bayfront?
Yes.
Oh, while we were waiting in line, I saw Tig Notaro
Yeah.
with her wife, Stephanie Allen.
And I had to stop Lisa from
chasing
bothering
her.
Oh.
I was like, oh my God, because I just wanted to get a picture, you know what I mean? But
Nobody
Brad is
stopped
like,
you from stalking Rick Baker, B.
yeah, but she was like,
That's true.
like they have the twins and they're pushing the tram. I can't fucking stalk a tram.
So yeah, we went to the
Pram,
Indigo
not
Ballroom
tram.
line, and when we got there about 7 a.m, and actually the line was really short. Now, by 9 o'clock, the Indigo Ballroom line was down the waterfront, off to the island. I mean, it was a massive line. Indigo Ballroom is not quite as large as Hall H, but it's still a big ass room. And we were going because we were looking forward to the Good Place panel, which was the second one. But before that was Steven Universe. I know nothing about Steven Universe.
My niece and nephews, Sophie and Max, they're both middle school age. Soup's into it. My sister-in-law Monica, Soup's into it.
What we quickly discovered by being in the line was that Steven Universe had an incredibly passionate fan base.
Absolutely.
And to Brian's point and the points we've made on ReviewCast of San Diego Comic-Con in the past, honestly, the lines are one of the best aspects of Comic-Con and the people you meet and the conversations you have. Yeah. And that was a truly wonderful conversation with those Steven Universe maniacs. So we get, and I don't even know if I could say who was on the panel. It was Rebecca Sugar, the creator.
Rebecca Sugar, and then it was hosted by Shelby?
Yeah, Shelby.
Shelby Ribera, who is a cast member. So this is another amazing panel hosted by a cast member. And then it was Zach Callison, who plays Steven, Dee Dee Magno, who plays Pearl, Michaela Dietz, who plays Amethyst, and then Estelle, who plays Garnet.
Right. And voice cast and creator. They had a really fun dynamic. Obviously, they were extremely friendly and encouraging of each other. Talked a little bit about the revelations at the end of that season of Steven Universe. And again, I did not know what they were talking about. Pink diamonds, I don't know. And then they showed us the first episode of the new season, which was like 25 minutes long.
No, it was like 15 minutes long.
Okay, which was like 15 minutes long. And the crowd around me was losing their mind. And not like just screaming and applauding, but having an emotional reaction. Like when a revelation would happen. And I'm not even sure if they were revelations because it's such an alien language to me. I could not decipher what was happening.
From what I can gather, Steven is like a descendant of like this alien race.
Any Steven Universe fans who are also listening to Imodcast are just embarrassed for us right now.
So he's like part human, part alien.
Pink diamond.
And he's got like a like, you know how trolls have like the belly gem?
Yeah.
So he's got like a belly gem.
Yeah, we shouldn't even try to
And then there are like these other alien ladies and they have gems.
Yeah. So while it was going on, though, people were like shocked and gasping. I mean, it was really amazing to watch.
There was this thing that was this character that was like a squiddy lizard thingy, and then it wasn't, and then it was.
And they were piloting a pair of legs as if it was a spaceship.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then that ended, and everyone was like beside themselves with joy. Then the Q&A started.
Yeah, the Q&A was a transformative experience, and it started with just the passion behind it. So it started with this mom. Was she first?
Yeah.
With this mom, and she talked about how she has a son with Asperger's or autism spectrum who has a hard time communicating emotions. And so they were sitting down together and watching Steven Universe together. And he expressed to her, like, you know, the reason I like this show is because I feel like I feel like this character because I feel like I'm a broken quartz. Like, I feel like I'm a broken gem. And people don't understand me because I'm like this character. And this mom is, like, absolutely, like, breaking down, crying. And Rebecca Sugar seems like the type of person who she comes across very reserved. I heard an amazing interview with her on Cameron Esposito's podcast Query, because she now identifies. I mean, it's always true, but she's recently come out as a non-binary woman. But she has a husband, but she doesn't identify as straight. So but she came across as like this really private person.
That was actually the first question
that's right.
of the day, which kind of threw things off. A fan came up and said, I understand that you recently have come out as non-binary. And what does that mean? And can you
non-binary woman? Yeah. Like, which makes it very complicated. Because
right. If you're a woman. But did the fan ask that? Or
and then what are your pronouns? Yeah, and so she identifies by the female pronouns or they them pronouns. So she's cool with whatever, but the fact of the matter is, like, she doesn't feel like a woman on the inside. She doesn't identify.
To me, though, like that first question it set the breadth of conversation we were going to have in this Cartoon Network show, Q&A, and you were going to get people revealing a lot about themselves, and the creators, to varying degrees, could deal with it. Rebecca Sugar had problems dealing with intense emotion.
Yeah, when people would get emotional in front of her, she would kind of look down and look around, and because it's clear, it was clear to me that, like, to her, Steven Universe is very personal to her, and she feels like this is kind of like her way of expressing, like, these different elements of herself, and sometimes she's Steven, and sometimes she's Amethyst, and whatever. So So I think that it was kind of
Which is, I mean, that can't possibly. She can't possibly be
Hearing this
surprised
for the
or
first time.
awkward, right? Because Steven Universe is a major panel at Comic-Con.
yeah.
She's experienced this a lot.
it was very sweet though.
But it was
like my
it
heart
was
went out to
fascinating to
everybody.
watch. I felt her shock and
Resistance a little bit.
resistance to the emotion. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like she was negative or anything, but it was just obviously a lot to take in.
Yeah.
You know, the next person comes up to her and she's prepared a statement that she's reading off of her phone. This woman and she has this big framed artwork, and she starts talking about how she has struggled as an artist, and her whole life people have told her that she's no good and she should give up and not even bother with her art. And the first gig that she was successful at achieving was doing a cover for a Steven Universe comic book. And then that cover led to other jobs and eventually led to penciling an entire an entire issue of the Steven Universe comic book. Sure. And she's bawling and unleashing herself upon Rebecca Sugar just after this other woman. And, you know, thank you so much and blah, blah, blah.
And then another weeping woman comes up, and like I got the sense that like the thunder was kind of taken, but she also went up and said
she said, she was like, how can I follow that? But I'm going to try.
Right. And she talked about how when she was growing up, she had a lot of mental health issues, and she didn't have a show like Steven Universe, and she laments not having like a piece of like this kind of thing when she was a child, with the representation of like all of this inner turmoil, I guess. And one of the cast members kind of
Estelle.
assured, it's like you've got the show now, so like enjoy it now and live in the present. And so I mean, like, it was just like, it's so weird because generally you want to go to the panels that you're like a nerd for, but to kind of be an observer of this passion, like you just get
and to
swept
soak
up
up that emotion and that enthusiasm. Like you're like, oh, this is also one of the great things about Comic-Con is experiencing this moment, being an alien in this world, and then trying to connect with what these people see.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, are you going to start watching Steven Universe?
No.
No.
How about you, Brad?
Maybe.
No. I'm still not into cartoons.
That's true. But then it was the Good Place panel after that, and that is something we're excited about. And that was a lovely panel.
Yeah. Who was the... Oh, and that was another panel where a cast member was the host. Let me look up his name.
Because the panel had, Ted Danson and Kristen Bell, obviously the stars and the big draws, but it had the entire cast of the show, and they were just so
it was another
delightful.
love fest.
Yeah, love fest. Yeah, it was a big time love fest. And the Good Place this year really took over Comic-Con. They had an outside experience again. The line to get into it was insane.
Yeah.
But and just their presence was really, really strong. Lots and lots of advertisement. A big chunk of the book was taken over with Good Place fan art.
Yeah. Mark Evan Jackson, who plays Sean, the judge guy, he was the host. He was the moderator, and he was awesome. It was Kristen Bell, Jamil, who plays Tahani, who's like a supermodel beauty, and they made a big deal about how like when she kissed Manny Jacinto, who plays Jason Mendoza, that's a spoiler I guess, who plays anyway, when they kiss on the show, he's the seventh person she's ever kissed ever
in her real life.
Oh, wow. And she counts it. So like an on-screen kiss, she counts it, and so that was a big deal. And Darcy Carden, who plays Janet, who is the computer. She talks about like I've kissed so many more than that. And Kristen Bell, they're like feeling a little less shamed, I guess. So Manny Jacinto was there. William Jackson Harper, who plays Chidi, and like I said, Darcy Carden. So fun. I love that show. I hadn't realized that I fell behind in it. I thought I had seen all that there was. So
Yeah,
there were
I
a
need
couple
to
of things I was like, whoa.
Got to finish that
Hate
second
that
season.
shit. But I do enjoy that show. I think it's so fucking funny.
All right, Brian. Hall H.
Man,
Lay it on us.
Where to begin? I guess it was just really in the morning, trying to meet up with everybody. That was kind of wild for me because of I kind of get anxiety when things are, especially when like they tell you in line, all right, everybody, you need to have your whole group here by 7:15, right? Before you get into the shoots. And this year was different because once you turn the corner and you actually get into those first 4 shoots, they have metal detectors there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This was like this was a big conversation that we had at our dinners too.
Such a waste of time.
And it was such a waste of time.
And it doesn't make you feel any safer.
It literally doesn't. So before we get to the metal detectors, it's still just us that slept out. So it's me, Kale, Sean, and Michael. And Aisha, Miriam, and Fatima, they always and Omar was with them. They usually let people know, hey, do you guys want something? So of course my caramel latte.
They even offered to bring us coffee in our line.
Oh my god, I was and you were joking.
Yeah, I was joking. I was like, hey, over at Indigo Ballroom, bring me a cappuccino.
And they were about to do it.
They were gonna do. They're too fucking nice.
Yeah, I had to stop them. I was like, no, please don't.
But so I was like, oh man, they probably stopped to get something because they had everybody get up and start packing your stuff, and they're like, oh, we're gonna start moving. I'm like, oh shit, nobody's here yet. I'm like, oh man. So we literally start moving. So as we're moving, I see Omar and Miriam and Aisha there, and they're walking up. I'm like, all right, good, you guys are here.
Here's the other interesting weird thing about the Hall H line this year. If you had an A wristband and you left and your entire group left and you came back and there were B's or D's in front of you now, they wouldn't let you go to your A's.
To the A group, yeah.
So what's the point of the freaking...
I know!
But
they say that you have to have one person in line.
your group, yeah, somebody from your group. If the whole group leaves, then you're
out.
Then you're totally
There's
out.
no point.
Which
I
was
feel
the opposite of what they originally wanted to do.
I sometimes I think that the training for these people doing the crowd control, they don't get all of the information because they only get 2 hours of training for the whole weekend. So there's no way you can get all of those little details in there. So I feel like some of these rules that have changed from one year to the next changed on the fly.
Yeah,
maybe.
So
that's what I think.
Yeah. So we met up with them, so that was good. But then we were waiting for Scott, Amber, and Aaron, and I was asking Kale. I was like, Kale, did you call your family? Are they close? It was like, yeah, they said they're on their way. I'm just getting like, come on, man, we can't get into these shoots and they're not here yet. Everybody's got to be here. So we get since we're first in line, we get to right at the turn where the metal detectors are before we get into the shoots. But they have us stop. They was like, all right, you guys stop. We're going to be here for a while. So I was like, all right, we'll be here for a while. So then Scott and Aaron and Amber came there. I was like, all right, bet. Good. We got everybody here. Because I was getting nervous. I was like, man.
So you guys were number one?
Well, there was actually one other group ahead of us. So we were
How did that happen?
I think it's something Michael, I think, I have to ask all the details, but there was somebody else, and they had a group of 7 or 8 people. So we were still the first 20-some people going into Hall H. So we were still right there at the front.
That's nuts.
It's for a Saturday, which is crazy.
That's closer than that year I got us front row.
Right.
Yeah.
We had more people than that.
Yeah. So it was only 7 to 8 people in front of us, and that was it.
So how did you get second row, Brian?
No, we were on first and second row.
Yeah,
but we sat on the second row. Okay. So when we got in there, I told him. So Michael, Sean, Scott, and Aaron all sat on the first row. And then everybody else just said, so we grouped it so we were all both of those.
So you could still talk to each other.
Yeah.
If you're all in a straight line.
Yeah. So we just
kind of
all right, I accept that.
Yeah. So that's
and you got on the left side, so the people are staring at your cameras.
Yeah, and that was the big thing too. So once we got into the shoot, everybody was like, okay, when they let us in, we need somebody to guide us. It was like, Brian, It's like, let us know which way to go. And I'm like, fuck, man, I don't have my crew here. Like, I don't have, like, Darren, Brad, Lisa, they're not here. I was like, all right, it's on me. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, when we go in, you go to, and you want to stay to the left.
Yeah.
Because when they look, I remember what you said from a couple years ago. If you want to get good pictures, they're going to look towards the moderator. So let's stay to the left of Hall H. So we get in there, and everybody's following me. I'm like, I could do this.
Yeah, you go, Brian.
I was like, I could do this. And we got up there, and like first, second row, we lined up. I was like, y'all good with this? They was like, yeah, this is great. I was like, okay, cool. So we got in. Everything was great. And, of course, the first panel, WB, they said,
Nice.
We like to start it off big. They pull the curtains back, and do their whole like little montage. You see Fury Road.
Oh my God!
And the first panel is Fantastic Beasts, and that was cool because being so close, the first celebrity I got awestruck by seeing that close was Jude Law.
Wow.
Because they came out on our side, and they didn't come out on the other side where they normally come out on stage right. I should know this anyway. But they came out on our side, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's Jude Law, like literally right there." And he's a cool
Erin
dude.
could not, Scott's wife, Erin could not shut up about how
She loves
dashing Jude Law
She loves
was.
Jude Law. But going to that panel, I don't know. They released the trailer online. I'm not a big Fantastic Beasts or Harry Potter fan. Fatima, Miriam, and Aisha, they were eating it up. They loved that stuff. So, and they showed the trailer, and there was like some reveal at the end of a character. I didn't know who, and like they started losing their shit. They was like, "Oh," I was like, "Was it somebody? Is it somebody from the Harry Potter world?" I don't know, but hey, the more if y'all makes y'all happy, that's cool. So, and that was cool. Eddie Redmayne, I don't know, man. Like. He's cool.
Sure.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne. But who else is in? Johnny
Depp.
Johnny Depp came out, but Ezra Miller, he was in his whole. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in that whole mushroom pink getup.
He does not, if you go back to the first movie, he does not look like himself. He plays like some somber tween in the first movie.
I didn't even know he was in the first Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zoe Kravitz was there. It was cool to see her. But then like Johnny Depp comes out in character and gives
Which
some.
Eddie Redmayne did last year.
Oh yeah.
Remember when we got the wands?
Yay.
But was he in character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I didn't think he was in character.
We did a spell and everything.
Yeah. And they gave us these little wristbands that light up, and they used that throughout the whole WB panel. So like all the wristbands will like light up blue, like if you try to do a spell, and you have everybody like hold your wristbands up, and the whole thing would light up blue. It was kind of cool.
And you could use it to track John Lark.
Yeah.
If you had the app.
But yeah, so the Crimes of Grindelwald, Johnny Depp came out in character. I don't think anybody was really feeling it, and then he just walked off, and then that was it. Yeah, he just came out, did a monologue, and then just walked right back off stage.
Weird.
Yeah, Johnny Depp.
He's no Loki.
Yeah, no,
well,
he's
he
not.
couldn't be on the stage with
Amber Heard.
Amber
Heard.
Heard.
I know, and that was like the big. You
Drama.
saw the elephant in the room.
Wait,
that was
she's in Fantastic
No,
Beasts?
she's in
No,
Aquaman,
Aquaman.
which
But
came
it's part-
next.
So they can't cross paths even.
Yeah, but that was the first panel, and Aquaman was the last one.
damn.
So they had, and the WB's panel was 2 hours. So
they planned it that way.
Yeah, they planned it that way. So yeah, that was like the elephant in the room because everybody kept saying it's like, wow, it's like how did y'all manage to not keep them separated? But anyway, and then after that was what came after Crimes of Grindelwald?
Godzilla?
I think it was Lego Movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Lego Movie 2. So Chris Pratt came out, Elizabeth Banks came out, so we saw that. They showed a little sequence for that, which was cool. Then Godzilla. And Godzilla was great. Brad Doherty, they talked about the score. The big thing was like we're going to use the classic Godzilla score from 1954. Saw the trailer. The interesting thing about being that close in Hall H is like it's so intimate being that close, so you're right there. Like having 6,000 people behind you, it's like you don't feel the capacity in the room. because you're so close. So I could never gauge how the room was reacting to certain things. So I don't know. It was kind of weird. Like you could still hear people yelling and like getting excited about certain things. But I don't know. It just felt different with the noise being behind you. I don't know if that makes sense. But after that, of course, it was DC, and DC was great. They started out with Wonder Woman, and
how'd that stuff look?
It looked okay. I mean, they've only been shooting for 3 weeks. And they show the scene, which clearly takes place in Landmark Mall, where you have these people brandishing guns, and she jumps to the second level. This little girl is like, like she's fanning out over Wonder Woman. She takes the little girl, slides her across the floor into like this giant teddy bear, and then she takes her lasso out, and then like just apprehends like the criminals, the crooks or whatever, and then it just cuts. It says Wonder Woman 84, and then you just see a shot of her running down the street, which I think was in DC, which still looks kind of weird because it didn't look like you could tell she was on wires as she was running, but it was only like a minute long. It wasn't that long. But having her and Chris Pine was quiet. He didn't really say much. They did take a couple of questions, but nobody asked, like, Chris Pine, like, how are you back in the movie?
How are you so dreamy?
He was. He's a dreamy guy. Yeah, and then after Wonder Woman was Shazam. And Shazam was great because Zachary Levi knows how to work the room. He came out. He was so excited. He had a Guinness in his hand. and I guess her and Aisha Tyler, they know each other because I guess they used to do parties through Nerdist or Nerd HQ. So like it was just like them being on stage together again, and they brought out Asher Angel, and then they showed the trailer for for Shazam, and that was really cool to see Zachary Levi really like eating that up, and he was just having a ball on stage. Like it was cool to see that. And then they brought out the cast for Aquaman. Well, they brought out Jason Momoa first. He had this grand entrance. And like people just going crazy for Jason Momoa, and he was talking about like releasing the trailer because he released a video prior to where he jumped like into the ocean and said trailer's going to be released tomorrow. And Aisha Tyler brought that up, and then they brought out the rest of the cast. And again, this is something I mentioned, like seeing some of these movie stars up close, like you know why they're movie stars, like Nicole Kidman and Amber Heard and. Seeing all these people.
Is that the first time Nicole Kidman?
That's the first time she's been there. Yeah, they mentioned that. It was like, yeah, this is her first Comic-Con and her first Hall H. So yeah, they showed the trailer for Aquaman, and they didn't. James Wan showed us an extended sequence and a sizzle reel with that sequence that takes place in the desert when Black Manta and some of his henchmen are chasing Mera and Arthur Curry. And Black Manta just looks great in that. And then the last shot, you see him in this classic orange and green. It looks really good. But I don't know.
And that's not in the trailer that we got.
No. That was something separate. Yeah. That was just for Hall H.
I saw all the toys over at the DC Collectibles.
Yeah. But it's weird watching it in Hall H, but I know they released all this stuff online. So I was going to ask you guys, like, what is it like watching it without the Hall H haze behind it? Like,
there's aspects of the Aquaman trailer that I like, but then I don't know if I'm necessarily blown away by it. I love all the underwater stuff. I love all the creatures and the monsters, and I agree with you. I think Black Manta looks great, and the laser beams blasting out of his eyes looks great. I just like that there's an Ocean Master sequence, and I like that they're it's an Aquaman movie. They're treating it seriously. It's not too tongue in cheek, although they're having some fun with it.
Yeah.
I think Mira's hair is way too red.
Yeah, it is kind of red.
It's like cartoonishly red.
Yeah.
But at the same, I like. I need to see the film. I need to see the film.
What about Shazam?
Same.
Brad doesn't approve of the Shazam premise.
Yeah, I have very specific ideas of what I want that character to be, and they're basically doing the new 52 version of it that Jeff Johns and Gary Frank did, which was fun.
Yeah,
and is very much big meets Superman.
Yeah.
And Zachary Levi does that Tom Hanks child in an adult body well.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, but neither of them I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, going back and watching them again, I really like the Aquaman trailer. I do. Shazam, I like. I want to see a little bit more. You don't get any action pieces because I know David F. Sandberg said they're still working. Or you had that look about Shazam.
Huh? Oh, I'm waiting for you to finish.
What's your thoughts on Shazam, man?
I like the comedy. I like Zachary Levi. I like his performance. But like he just looks weird in that. I like the suit. I like that the suit is Shazam. Like I like the cape and everything.
You don't like the muscles?
It just looks like he's in a muscle suit. Like he looks
Because he
like
is.
But and so why wouldn't you just put him in a regular size suit that fits his body? Like it just looks weird to me. And so it'll probably maybe be something. Hopefully be something that I'll get over. Like when I'm watching the film, because everything else will be so good, his performance, his character, whatever.
Yeah.
But like just looking at that suit, it's like it looks like a skinny guy in a buff.
Yeah, it's
muscle
already
suit.
a goofy looking suit, which I love. I love the design of the suit and how 1940s it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it looks like he looks like Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster.
I was gonna say like it looks like a skinny guy with Henry Cavill's body because he's got like a pencil neck.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. I mean, he just has a normal sized neck, but
he's the little floating Bruce Banner head inside the
in
Hulkbuster.
Yeah, basically.
But even looking at Zachary Levi on stage, you know that he got bigger.
Oh yeah,
for the role.
That's what confused me because I remember him like posting gym photos, like getting ready and like, oh shit. He's
but they wanted him to be like cartoony,
which he is. Nailed it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the WB panel I enjoyed, but the weird thing about it is because before we went, we all said, okay, there's not much going on Saturday, so we were going to leave Hall H after WB.
Yeah, but then you got that front row virus.
I know we got them seats, and it was because it was weird. We were debating because everybody was set to stay except for me and Aisha because she wanted to go see CW and what's that Fox show, the X-Men show.
Oh,
Gifted, The Gifted.
Oh,
no, The Gifted. So and so because of the seats, like we both were just like, oh, I don't know, man. And then I was thinking, all right, if I leave, like, what else would I do? like literally, like, okay, if I leave, I could walk the floor, but like the front row, it's like, so Miriam was like, look, y'all got a little, because we were debating this before WB even started. He was like, man, I don't know, man. I was like, you know what? I think I'm probably stay because my whole thing was like, look, if I leave, there's nothing else for me to do. It's not like there's something else I need to go see. So I mean, I told Aisha, I told her the bathroom pass. I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm sorry.
She's so disappointed in you.
I'm sorry.
This is not Brian revealing this for the first time.
No,
Lisa's still
He apologizes
disgusted.
every time, which means you're processing guilt.
I know.
You're clearly not okay with it yourself.
I know, but because of the whole metal detector thing and the trouble I had when I left on Friday, but I was able to get back in. So she left. And I guess they saw the line because the line was long to get back in. And they were saying, look, if you leave, the chances of you getting back in.
Because the line to get back in was like 40 minutes long.
Yeah, and they give you the pass that says you have to be back by a certain time. But even if you're in line, they still won't let you back in if you're not through the metal detectors at that time.
Here's the other difference in Hall H this year. Even if you wanted to go get food, right? When the lobby area is of Hall H, they filtered you out in a big line to even get to that area. You couldn't just casually walk over to the food. They had us all line up. So if you wanted bathroom pass to go out, which, again, there are other bathrooms. So everybody using that bathroom pass are a bunch of cheaters, Brian. So the cheaters and the food people are in the same line, filtering out of Hall H. And that line, when I went to the lobby to get coffee, that line was 100 people deep just to get to the lobby.
If it was just people who need to go to the bathroom, it wouldn't be that long. But it's a bunch of fucking loophole fondling, time thieves.
I know.
Falling in the hole.
But
Brian.
I'm sorry. It won't happen anymore because I'm not, especially if they have the metal detectors. But I'm not going to do it because I'm going to be a good attendee next year.
That's right. You don't want to upset the con gods.
No, not
then
at all.
you're going to get a donut next
not
year.
Not at all. So, so when she saw the line, she was like, "Look, you're not going to be able to get back in." So she decided to stay. So everybody stayed in Hall H. So the next panel was like, oh God, was the animation show of shows, which nobody really was into for like the next hour and a half.
Damn.
We were just sitting there. I mean, there was a couple of cute shorts.
It's kind of like the trailer park, except at least the trailer park, you're like, oh, I still like this Mandy trailer. And the fact that you got to watch the Mandy trailer be witnessed by 6,000 confused individuals.
Yeah. So, and then after that was the, I think it was the RZA. The RZA panel, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, being a Wu-Tang fan and being a fan. So basically with that, it was just him and Rick Meyer. Rick Meyer, who is the film historian of a lot of those old, he does a lot of the commentary tracks.
Dragon
a lot of
Dynasty.
Those, yeah. So him and RZA came out, and they just had a quick, like, 5-10 minute conversation. Then Sway Calloway came out, and then he introduced the cast of RZA's new film, Cutthroat City. And so they had a nice little Q&A between them, and then they showed the trailer. They actually showed the trailer twice. But I don't know. It was weird. It was hard to gauge how the crowd really took that. I mean, there were some Wu-Tang fans in the audience, and people were excited to see them. But I know just some of the people around me just were not into it. They were just kind of doing their own thing. I was like, okay, cool.
RZA, man. Wesley Snipes was there too.
Wesley Snipes was there. I think that was like the big takeaway. A lot of people were like, oh, Wesley Snipes, Blade, New Jack City, blah, 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 this and that. I was like, all right, yeah, he's cool.
He's no RZA.
Yeah, it's no RZA. I was excited to see the RZA.
Brian Loy says, the RZA.
Oh, Brian.
Oh, B.
I'm sorry, Brian Loy.
Then after that was the Women Who Kick Ass panel, which
I heard was phenomenal. I still haven't listened to it because I'm jelly.
I enjoyed it. Who on the panel was Jodie Whittaker, the new doctor, and of course from Attack the Block, Regina King, who's in the Netflix show 7 Seconds, Amanda Steinberg, who's in the movie Hate You Give and the upcoming The Darkest Minds. Then you had Chloe Bennett from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I forget her first name, but someone Mendez from Riverdale. And it was just, it was interesting to hear these women talk, especially this being the first Women Who Kick Ass panel after the Me Too movement, after the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. So to hear them kind of talking, you can definitely tell that was a theme as far as like, again, what Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about as far as like taking back the narrative, and just taking control of like your own careers and your own destiny. But and I talked to Darren about this. Was the biggest thing was, and I think I was telling you guys about Chloe Bennett and how she had to change her name and how she felt about that. And then once she changed her name, she started to get these roles because casting directors didn't think she was ethnic enough to play, Chinese or some of these other characters, but she didn't have the look to play like a classic, or to play like a white girl, or the classic like leading lady. But I just thought that was just profound, that she felt that she had to do that for her own career. And then they just kept asking questions. It's like, we have to get on the other side of that argument. Like, we have to become the people who are casting these women. It's like it's just opening up the diversity to not only try to get these roles, but to be in the position where we can cast these roles as well. So I don't know, I just thought about that. And then Jodie Whittaker mentioning like, look, I don't want to come back 5 years later having these same conversations. Right. And that's an interesting thing to explore, because you can have all these different changes, but are you really making change if we're still talking about the same thing 5-10 years from now? And I don't know, it was interesting.
And those panels have been talking about the same old things since we've been going there, since 2011.
Yeah. The Women Who Kick Ass has been going on for about 4 or 5 years.
And always an interesting panel, but there is a theme, of resistance.
Exactly. So, I mean, I definitely encourage, if you can find it online, to definitely. I mean, I know there's points that I'm missing, but I thought it was a very enlightening and enriching conversation that those women had on stage. Then after that was, of course, Deadpool 2. Which again baffles me why they even had a panel. But I think it was really just to say thank you to the fans and to promote the Blu-ray, the super duper cut, whatever they want to call it.
That was one of the cool new things on the floor. Was Deadpool's super duper dance party booth, which was a fully animatronic booth with a singing Deadpool and a jug band behind
What
him.
are they called? The Bears? The Country Bear Jamboree style?
That's what they're called.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're all wearing like X-Men shirts and singing Deadpool-like songs.
Yeah. And going with your point, Lisa, about having the cast members be the moderators, they had Karen's son, I think that's his name, who plays Dopinder.
Yeah.
He moderated that panel. And you had David Leitch, you had both the writers, you had the actor who voiced Colossus, and Brianna Hildebrand.
From Tragedy Girls.
Ryan Reynolds, of course, and Zazie Beetz.
Smith, Zazie Beetz Smith. I'll change my name to Beetz. I'll be she might be Darren Beetz.
But it was fun. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is just a natural, funny dude, man. Like, he knows how to work the crowd. He knows how to make people laugh, and it was a cool panel. But at the end of the day, I don't see the point of really having Deadpool in Hall H. So actually, Saturday was actually kind of weak outside of WB.
Yeah, I don't miss it.
No. It's
I would have liked to have seen Nicole Kidman.
Nicole, it would have been cool. Yeah, it would have been cool to see her. But the big thing is, it's like I talked
that Godzilla footage.
Yeah, the Godzilla footage was awesome. But we had dinner that night at Buca de Beppo. I think that's the name of the restaurant.
Yeah.
So, because Scott was leaving Sunday at 6, and normally the con ends at 5. So I figured. So when he told me that in Hall H, I was like, oh man, we definitely got to do dinner, because we were going to go do the masquerade ball,
right?
And the girls were going to go do that too. But I remember texting you guys once I found out. I was like, hey, Scott, they're going to be leaving tomorrow. You guys good to have dinner? And I just remember, I don't know the conversation on your end, but I remember through the text, I know Brad said, Lisa can give 2 fucks about the masquerade ball.
Well, because I got back to you right away. I was like, yeah, sure, totally. Let's do it. Let's go have dinner.
Yeah.
And Brad was like, wah, wah.
I wanted to go to the masquerade ball, but I'm glad we went and had dinner.
It was such a fun time.
Just saying, I've never gone.
I'm glad that you still haven't gone without me. So.
Right,
next year we're doing it.
So
no, we're not,
I know.
because Marvel will be
back.
back.
I know Marvel's going to be back, but so we left Hall H, and so I wanted to do dinner, to at least have dinner with them, since I knew we probably weren't going to see them on Sunday. And again,
Scott was paying, so we were eating.
No.
That's the thing, and I don't know if they're going to be listening to this, but we were so.
It was Scott's actual birthday.
It was
the day of his birth.
That dude is so nice.
That Saturday, the 21st, was his birthday. So how leaving Hall H is, you get separated. So him and his family, they were ahead of us. So it was me, Omar, Aisha, Miriam, and Fatima. So we were walking, we were behind them, and it was in Buca de Beppo, was somewhere in the gas line. It was a couple blocks up. Yeah. So we were walking up there, and while we were walking up there, me and Aisha were talking. We were like, look. It was like, look, it's his birthday. We gotta pay for dinner. And I was down for it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's pay. Let's try to split it 4 ways. Let's try to like me, you, Miriam, Fatima. Let's try to get the bill, and then we could pay for dinner, because he's done so much stuff, and it's his birthday. And then we get to dinner. We're having a good time. And I didn't even realize the bill came out.
Well, what happened is Mr. Wood got up to go to the restroom, and that's when he passed his card off. I'll bet you $1 million. I don't have $1 million.
Oh.
But I don't need $1 million for this bet because it's a safe fucking bet.
Because the next thing I noticed, I saw him opening up, and then
little bookie thing.
then I looked, and it was so funny. I told Darren this when I told him the story. It was something out of a movie where he opened it up because me and Aisha looked at him, and we were like, no. he was like, nope, it's too late. I was like, no, man. I was like, it's your birthday. We gotta he was like, no. And then Aaron was like, no, let him pay.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude.
But he's a good guy.
And we ate like monsters.
And we did. I mean, it's family size stuff. So yeah, we had food. And I think it was like leftover stuff and.
Not much.
And the people came and took pictures. Of course, we had to pay for the pictures, but
there's the sweetest picture. Do you have the picture, Brad?
It's right there.
Yeah, show Darren so we can get his cutie reaction online. Is it
and
like
there should be another one?
It's there. They're back to you can the other ones.
Waiter asked, "Are there any couples at this table?" And so every two people were like, "We're a couple. We're a couple. We're a couple." And Brad's like, "I'm a couple with her, and I'm a couple with him. We're brothers."
We're brothers. So that was cool.
So sweet. So of course we bought our pictures.
Yeah.
Because Brad loves a picture in a sleeve.
I do.
He does.
But that dinner was a highlight. It was just
That was
fun,
so
just
fun.
to kind of hang with everybody and just talk about stuff. And it was cool. So then we split, and I think that was the end of Saturday.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was we pretty much just did floor, and we took a lot of cosplay photos.
On
that
Saturday?
day. Yeah,
Okay.
Saturday we went and snapped a bunch of so much great cosplay. That's where
We did the Kevin Eastman panel that was on.
Was that Saturday? Yeah, that was towards the
okay.
evening. Yeah, we did the Kevin Eastman panel, and I tried to make you feel jealous about it.
didn't
You were
get
too
to.
happy about being in the front row.
Zazie Beats.
I know.
But the Kevin Eastman panel was actually pretty good. Saturday was good. Yeah.
Saturday was good. It was different. It was like I said, Darren not being there, and then you guys not being in Hall H on Saturday, just felt different and weird. But it was cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being around the con fam. And and then meeting back up with you guys, and then you guys telling us about the Steven Universe panel, and we got to meet the other edition, Mallory.
She's cool. I like her.
She's mad cool, and so it was a lot of fun. Saturday was a cool day, and then Sunday.
Yes.
All right, so
We're
we get
there.
the final day of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So how'd that go?
Well, that was an interesting one for us also because we went first into the hall immediately. Lisa got in line for the Marvel exclusive. She wanted those Scotty Young enamel pins, and she got me a
some
sweet
t-shirts.
Christmas T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
And I got myself an Ant-Man and the Wasp T-shirt.
But
That's
I
really
had
cool.
scheduled through Film School Rejects an interview with the directors of Summer of '84 and Turbo Kid. They were at Comic-Con promoting Summer of '84, which I'm betting is going to be at Lost Weekend this year.
Summer '84.
Yeah.
They showed that trailer during Trailer
They
Park.
did, yeah. It's set in the 80s.
It actually looks really good.
It's like Goonies meets serial killer adventure.
Yeah.
I liked it quite a bit.
You saw it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I got a link through the
Screener.
the screener people.
Okay.
So I met up with them at the what's that hotel called? The Pendry? I want to call it. Yeah, it's the Pendry, which is down sort of near by Buco de Beppo in the Gaslamp district.
Okay.
And while I was waiting for the publicist to meet me for that interview, the entire cast of Riverdale was in the lobby with me. And I'm just like, my back's against the wall. I'm like, oh, these are too many pretty people. Oh, my God. You feel so wretchedly disgusting hanging around them. And they were all excited to be heading back to L.A. Had that interview. That interview should be up at the end of this week on Film School Rejects. It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
I made sure to wear my Slaughtered Lamb American Werewolf in London shirt, and they definitely appreciated that upon meeting me. But we talked, I was supposed to have like 20 minutes with them, and we talked for like almost 40 minutes. So
nice.
it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So meanwhile, I was in the Marvel line.
You bought a bunch of T-shirts?
I bought a bunch of T-shirts. The guy in the Marvel booth knew nothing about Marvel. It was so funny because we wanted the set of Fantastic Four pins, and so he's like, "Are these them?" And I was like, "No, those are X-Men." I asked for Fantastic Four. I was like, "Did he mishear me?" And then And then he didn't know who Ant-Man and the Wasp were. It was weird.
Oh,
I was just like,
God.
how'd you get this job?
He was working the Marvel panel, the
The
Marvel booth.
He knew nothing. It was very weird. I also got the Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel crossover comic.
Ooh,
So cute.
yeah.
Okay, and then afterwards, that took forever, by the way. That line was long. But then I got that. Brad's still not there. So I was just kind of wandering around, and I stumbled upon the Hero Within booth. Now, Hero Within is run by Crazy for Comic-Con. Do you remember that guy's name?
I mean,
We're the worst. You can Google it while
I just call him
talk.
Crazy for Comic-Con.
But
That's his Instagram.
He started designing like nerdwear for like The Office or menswear mostly. But they started doing some women's wear this year. They got this cool Black Widow hoodie. They've got the Wonder Woman jean jacket with the double W thing emblazed on the back.
Oh, nice.
But of course, I immediately go for the Guardians of the Galaxy bomber jacket.
Yeah.
So awesome. Actually a men's jacket, but I don't care. It's got the Guardians of the Galaxy logo on the inside with like this psychedelic pattern, and on the outside it's like this maroon, kind of maroon color with the pattern on the back. Looks so awesome. You can see it on my Instagram. But the one I'm wearing is a men's medium, so I'll look even better in it because I'll be in a proper size. And so I pre-ordered that. Job to chug a change on that. And actually walking the floor, I saw Howard Stern. And I was like, fuck you, Howard Stern.
Really?
I fucking hate you.
Huh.
Yes. He was walking by. He had like two people like kind of like flanking him. He's a tall motherfucker.
Yeah.
And with a face for the radio.
Oh.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
yeah, and then Brad and I reunited.
Tony Kim.
Tony
is
Kim.
Crazy for
Tony
Comic-Con.
Kim.
So yeah, if you haven't, so right now the Marvel stuff is not on the Hero Within page, web page yet. It is available for pre-order, but if you Google it, you can just find it. Just Google Hero Within Marvel 2018 or something. I found so fucking cool.
I met up with you guys on Sunday. It was hard getting in because they weren't letting anybody into the convention center at like, I think it was like
9 to
CD.
9:30 or
Yeah, it
something
was
like that,
weird.
yeah.
But then like at one door they were letting people in, so I just made my way in through there because I was trying to get to Mondo to get the variant booth, and then I ran into you because you guys were in line.
That's right.
And then I just kind of said, I said, "Hey, Brad, I'm headed to Mondo," and then you stopped me. You said, "Look, they're not taking any."
Well, so like when we went to Mondo first before we went to the Marvel booth.
Yeah.
And because that was when they were selling the Avengers variant poster.
Yeah.
Infinity War variant.
Yeah.
But apparently you had to have a voucher to get that.
When were you
print.
supposed to get it? The
I
voucher?
have no idea. That's the thing. We're going to have to be a little more strategic next year about planning vouchers and registrations and RSVPing to events.
Yeah.
Because they're really trying to get those lines situated before the con even starts.
Yeah.
So when we got to the Mondo booth that morning, they're like, sorry, you have to have a voucher to even be in this line. And we're not selling anything else until afternoon, after 12 p.m. But of course, that didn't last. They started selling after like 11.
I don't know. Like that was probably one of my biggest complaints was probably the organization of Mondo and Acme Archives when it came to some of this stuff, because I ended up getting my prints on Sunday because I couldn't get it Saturday because I was in Hall H all day. And then, so I went back to their booth Thursday and Friday repeatedly, and they kept saying, it's not in yet. The Ranger prints aren't in.
I think in Mondo's case, they did a pretty good job. The only problem, the only confusion came in with that voucher business.
Yeah.
And then that one person telling me don't come back till noon.
Yeah, and that was probably all on
the reality
Sunday.
was that line, like we said earlier in this episode, was constantly long.
Constantly, yeah.
Unless you wanted to sacrifice large portions of your day, you weren't going to get into it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. So like, and I'm sure you guys did too, a bunch of friends going, hey, if you can give me this poster or that, or they give me this. Here's the deal. Going forward, if you're not at Comic-Con, there's no way you can get anything,
When you're at Comic-Con, it's pretty hard to get anything.
Right.
Yeah, so trying to get something for somebody else.
I was trying to get Turtles for me and Herms. Didn't make that happen.
Yeah.
Of course, people want Mondo. Like, unless you wanted my Beneath the Planet of the Apes poster, that was the only one left at the end of that con. And Last Jedi also.
It's a great poster.
It's a great poster. But yeah, so I'm just gonna have to start telling people, hey, I know you want me to try. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
No.
Sorry.
But yeah, I think Sunday was mostly just kind of walking the floor.
Yep.
Sideshow Collectibles got a lot of picks there.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, because I guess I was thinking to myself, like, what's new at Sideshow? But you were saying, like, there's a lot of new stuff. And of course, with Avengers Infinity War coming out, you have all the new stuff from there and all the Black Panther stuff that looks great.
This year, last year, the figure you kept seeing replicated throughout the various booths, like action figure wise, statue wise, bust wise, was Planet Hulk. The Ragnarok Hulk. You saw statues and toys of that all over the place last year. This year, the figure was Iron Spider.
Yeah.
So many variations of Iron Spider.
Really? What's that one booth where you guys bought something? And I was looking at the Hulk and Thor. It's like Q something.
Quantum Mechanics.
Quantum Mechanics. It's
Okay.
QMX is the logo.
Yeah. So I like some of that stuff. That was the thing that I took away from Sunday was Lisa trying to sell me on
the things that you wanted.
It was
Lisa was trying to get Brian to spend some money.
I know. It's like it's pretty, and almost convinced me. It's like, look, you're actually saving money if you buy this here. You're saving $10, and
yeah, because you like it $50 and it's $10 off. So that's like they're paying you to buy it. The thing is, what I've learned is Brian's got a tight purse, ladies. So just keep that in mind.
Well, depends.
Yeah.
That day I did.
But I feel like you bought the Mondo print.
I did
because of me. I made that happen.
Yeah, because I really wasn't, and I looked at it and. Yeah.
But like all weekend long, you have not gotten close to the Mondo table. And so suddenly you're there. It's like the Hall of H front row.
It's like
if you're there, you got to get something.
I know. It's like I'm next in line. I was like, fuck it. Let me just buy something. Yeah. So I got the Last Jedi one. So yeah. But no, that was cool.
And did you stay on the floor the rest of the day? Or did
Pretty much. So when you guys left to go to the Harlan Ellison, I just walked the floor
Sweet.
The rest of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, and that panel, this was another first, right? Rather than being in the exhibit hall when the lights went out, we went to the Harlan Ellison tribute panel hosted by Chris Royale of IDW. And there were so many people on that panel that wanted to talk about Ellison. They did shifts. So they had round one of panelists, and then they had round two. Josh Olson was there from, he's the guy who wrote History of Violence screenplay. As well as like hosting the new Trailers from Hell podcast, and Stephen Barnes was there, and William Stout, and just like a whole mess load of comic book people and sci-fi authors, all telling their Harlan Ellison stories, and it felt very intimate and private, and a privilege to be there in that room with those people sharing this man's life. The guy who directed Eric Larson, right? Eric Larson, who directed the Dreams with the Sharp Teeth documentary, had a deleted scene that he apparently was editing all the way up until this con from his documentary showing Harlan Ellison bragging about all the toys he had in his house to Robin Williams. And it's like a 20-minute little segment.
It was so sweet. Like they really were
best
kindred spirits.
And it's Ellison's place is like the Dork Cave, right? Like behind every nook and cranny, there's some cool collectible that he's excited about. Yeah. So that was really nice. And then, it was supposed to be an hour, but when we got there, they're like, look, we're doing an hour and a half. So that's what this panel is going to be. And we're like, okay, well, an hour and a half, that still gives us 30 minutes to walk the floor afterwards. And then, everybody wanted to talk and tell their story, and I was enjoying it so much. They hadn't gotten to the Q&A section, or and it really wasn't a Q&A. They said, if you have an Ellison story, come to the mic and tell it. Share your enthusiasm for this man into the microphone. And I know we should be leaving, but in Ellison fashion, we're going to stay. We're going to break the rules, and we're not going to leave until every single person has told their Ellison memory. And that's what they did. And,
it was beautiful.
One person after the other talking about what this man's art or this man's life meant to them.
Remind me to make friends with a bunch of writers before I die, because everybody's eulogy was just so gorgeous, so beautiful.
Yeah, it was a weird way to end Weird Con, right?
Yeah.
But perfect. But perfect.
Yeah.
And they gave us all like little prints that had been illustrated by Bill Sienkiewicz of Ellison.
Yeah.
I need to get those framed.
Yeah.
They were really cool. And then we, met up with Brian, and then we met up with
Fatima and Mallory and Aisha and Miriam.
And had dinner
At Mary Jane's.
Mary Jane's.
which is always, I just call it the Sci-Fi Channel restaurant because the
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel, redoes the facade every year.
Yeah.
One thing that was interesting about that is because we got to the restaurant first, and you guys were sitting there. We were waiting for them to come from. I think they were staying at the Marriott.
Right. That's when Kim Jong-ji came by.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was at the restaurant. So I went outside to see where they were, and there because like right there's that 5th Street like right outside that main. So they people walking back and forth, and they got cosplayers. So there was like there was a cosplayer that was singing. She had like a microphone and she was singing Celine Dion's like song, Titanic song.
My Heart Will Go On?
My Heart Will Go On. And so like I'm out on the sidewalk right there, and there's another guy standing there. He's like, "Who's that singing?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's the girl, right? It's the cosplayer, dressed as like one of the Disney princesses." And he's like, there's only one Disney princess. That's Princess Leia. And I was like, yeah. And then so we strike up a conversation about, and I was like, yeah, the classic trilogy. And then he starts and he goes in. He's like, it's probably the only trilogy.
Oh,
and I'm like,
Oh my God.
Don't fall into a Last Jedi conversation.
I know. I was like, oh, here we go.
Go the whole con, and then on the last night.
But I did the Schnepp thing. I was just like, okay. I was like, because he just started going off. He was like, yeah, they just bring back everybody that we love, and they just kill them off. And I'm like, yeah. I just, and then I'm sitting out there and I'm like, fuck, how am I going to get away from this? And then luckily I see them coming. I see the girls come. I'm like, oh, there go my friends. It's great talking to you.
Oh, you're such a diplomat.
I was like, oh, thank God.
Brad would have gotten into fisticuffs.
I was like, I'm not even going to open this up. I just let them talk and just nod my head like, yeah. I was like, oh, there go my friends. So it's great talking to you, man. Enjoy your con.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But and then we had a great.
Then we did not see Equalizer 2.
We didn't see Equalizer 2. We spent a long time.
Just chatting.
I had a breakfast burrito in there that was so good. And then, of course, that's the great thing about Comic-Con. Like, it's over, but here comes some orcs.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. I got a great candid photo of two orcs eating at a diner.
They were eating through
their masks the entire meal.
I don't know. I'm sure after a full day of Comic-Con, I'm sure whatever is under that mask is just as ugly, if not worse.
Oh no.
You're under that mask sweating.
They were nice latex masks.
Yeah, they probably
sick.
had glue.
Yeah,
they probably couldn't take it off, but
it was great. I loved it.
I know, just sitting there eating fries and just like, wow, it's Comic-Con. So yeah, we didn't make it to Equalizer 2. No. Maybe even more of a weird con. No movie.
Yeah, no
movie.
Comic-Con
So we'll have to watch 2 movies with Darren next year, and we can each take turns sitting next to him.
Yay. So that was it, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Man, another one in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we got now the anxiety kicks in for trying to get badges for
God,
19.
don't even bring it up.
We'll
Don't
start that again. I know.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
We have an army now to help.
Really, we pretty much do.
That's something I didn't mention. The first day when we were waiting in line to get into the exhibit hall on Thursday, Eddie Ibrahim, the programmer of the con, was walking down the hall, and I was like, Eddie, and he came on over and he chatted with us for a good portion of time.
Oh shit!
And he's like, oh, where are you guys coming from? I was like, oh, Virginia. He's like, oh, wow. Oh, how many cons have you gone to? Oh, this is our 8th. And he goes, 8? And you've gotten badges every time? And I was like, yeah, we've got friends. Yeah. He's like, that's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
And, I was like, how's your stress level? And blah, blah, blah. Just chit-chat.
Yeah.
But I kept waiting for him to end the conversation, and he wouldn't. He just kept asking questions.
He's a friendly dude. Yeah. I think, he always ends his con with the fucking complaints panel.
Right.
You know, and like it's just like you got to remember like how many people show up to that panel versus how many people attend Comic-Con and just have a wonderful time. Yeah. So it was nice to be able to feed him some love.
Yeah. I like that dude. You know? Yeah. And he's a big reason why Comic-Con is as cool as it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All
so,
right. Well, yeah. We're at the 2 hour and 42 minute mark.
I thought you were going to say 3 hours.
Oh, not yet. Is there anything that anyone wants to put out there in closing?
Favorite moment, Brian?
B.
Oh God. I mean, I've said this before. I mean, it's really just spending time with everybody. The 2 dinners that we had. As far as panels, it had to be Bumblebee and Jamie Lee Curtis. That moment with her, Leonard Maltin. It's everything. It was. It was great, man. Yeah. I really had an awesome time. Just awesome.
Wife door.
For me, it was meeting the crew of the Star Trek Discovery. That was just so cool for me. I love that show so much, and I'm really just looking forward to there being more Trek and more inclusive Trek. I think it's just gorgeous. And then second, spending time with everybody and all the community and blah, blah, blah. All of that BS.
Oh,
so
that was true.
I agree with both of what Lisa and Brian said. Those are highlights for sure. But Leonard Maltin would probably be my other one. Yeah. That whole panel, it was cool.
That was really awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully, we're going to be out there next year, and hopefully you can join us out there too and become a part of you're already a part of our dork family, but don't you want to be a part of our con family?
Oh, yeah.
So you can follow the podcast on social media at ItModcast, on Facebook, also on Instagram, where we have a ton of pictures. And
thanks to Brad. Brad's really
Brian took a ton of photos too. And you took a healthy amount. If you look at the hashtag ItModCon, that's all our Comic-Cons of the past couple of years. There's like 1,500 photographs of the last 2 years.
Yeah. So take a look at that. And you can follow this guy at The Turtle Dork on Twitter, at The Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and at Brian William Young on Facebook. You can follow the lovely Sidewalk Siren at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter, also at Big Dork on Twitter and Instagram as well. And she's at Sidewalk Siren on Letterboxd. Brad Gullickson is at Mouth Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Untapped. And I'm Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, also on all social media.
Yeah, and listen to our Mission Impossible Fallout review cast.
Yeah.
If you can't handle us, if
you want another 2 hours
of us really just being super enthusiastic about life. I'm tired now, though.
It's okay. Well,
we've talked so much.
We're trying to give you enough content because we got 2 dorks going out to Vegas, and we're not gonna have we're not gonna have like a fistful this week. So we got you this nice meaty episode in addition to our weekend dork.
But then we're gonna get the D&B show next week.
Oh shit!
You guys got to do it. I want to listen to it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're also gonna be doing something else for the YouTube channel.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, something I want to try. Something I want to try.
It's basically the D&B show.
Basically.
Okay.
I want a D&B Christopher Robin review cast, guys.
How do you feel about bears?
Well, we're going to talk about that over there. Okay. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for sharing, Brad, Lisa, and Brian. And also the con fam. I wish I could have seen you this year, but I will be back next year. But yeah, thank you all for sharing your experience.
Thank you for sharing your experience, Darren.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Darren.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. And until next time.